again, didn't we, guys?
That's right.
Yeah, that was,
I'm gonna start the
that was
stream
4 months
too.
ago. That's comparing apples to oranges now. It was a long time ago. It's a whole different Heat team now, baby.
Yeah, but I mean, what do you mean?
Well, they're a much better team now. Have you been watching the playoffs at all?
No.
Hey, let me jump in here and ask you a quick question here. This is Job Talking Stu on with old Jimmy W. You tell me something.
Job Talking
You see
Stu.
Pat Riley as an Uncle Tom White, and if you bred Shaquille O'Neal with Oprah Winfrey, would you get some kind of super black baby or something? Both of you, or is that nobody again?
I missed that.
Seriously, OJ, this is Sammy the spelunking sports guy here.
I don't know why.
Sports guy on the program.
Speaking right in the microphone.
Speaking of Shaq, he's in some spectacular shape. He's dropped some serious LBs since his days with the Los Angeles Lakers. Is there any foreseeable situation where the Mavs shot blockers can conceivably slow down Shaq Diesel?
Well, there are a couple guys on the Mavs lineup that have played pretty good. Jobs played really well. You got a bunch of fouls to give here. You got a bunch of big guys on the team in general. Ben Wallace blocked a shot last game, so we'll see what happens when it comes to some guys trying to block a shot. But he's a tough guy to deal with in the middle. He's big. He's huge. Takes up a lot of space, and no matter how old he is, he's still the biggest guy in the league for the most part.
Yeah, we saw that. He's a big dude, isn't he, OJ?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Good
Now,
question.
thank you. The way I see it, and correct me if I'm wrong, do all those Cubans down there make your city smell bad?
No.
Or do you put them all in one area, so just
I
one
forgot
area
about-
smells like an old crotch?
That was that?
Yes, it is.
OJ. That was terrible.
Oh, man. That was the first time we played them in the championship series.
I think so. Let me see something here. Hello. I gotta make sure the sound's working right.
Perry the Platypus. I
Okay,
am
there we go.
offering up a pick.
All right, works. All right. So you ready to do this?
Yeah, just give me a quick,
Need some headphones.
quick background on exactly what we're going to be doing.
We're just gonna shoot the shit. That's the
Can you hear
main part
yourself
of it.
good? Can you hear yourself good?
Yeah, I hear it pretty loud actually.
Let me turn it down.
Yeah, just a bit.
We're going to the way we normally
better?
roll off is
Yeah, that's pretty good. Thanks.
we're gonna talk about the weekend, kind of some stuff we got into, and then we're gonna roll into you, talking to you about you,
All right.
learning about you, finding out about you. Yeah,
Uh-oh. This could be
Yes.
interesting.
it'll be fun. It's easy. It's easy. Just like none of this is here. Just
It's
like
no-
hanging out the bar and having a conversation. That's all it is.
It's no OJ McDuffie interview, though.
Yeah, we're not gonna ask you about Cuba and how to stop. What was it? How to stop Shaq,
Shaq, yeah.
with the Dallas defense.
Well, I actually had a interview a few days ago at a coffee shop where a young woman said, "So, could I ask you your feelings about God?" And I said, "That's a loaded question." I said, "What angle are you coming from?"
Was that the one? Were you telling me about that at the show at Mass? Was that the same day as Mass?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, before you flew out. Yeah,
That's funny. What did he? What do
that's
you
a
think about
wide
God?
open
Like,
question.
well,
Like-
can you pass the potatoes real quick? That'd be crazy.
What's that song? Tell me all your thoughts on
Tell
God.
me
Yeah.
all your thoughts on God, because I'd really like to meet her. Or is it him? Which
I
one
don't
does he
remember.
say?
They flip
They
it.
flip it back and forth.
Yeah. Well, it starts
the name of
off
that
with
band?
him and then it ends up as her.
Dishwalla. Wasn't that Dishwalla?
That was Dishwalla.
Dishwalla. I don't
I'm gonna
remember any
kill.
their other songs.
They did. I saw them at Six Flags.
I saw them at the
I'm not proud of it.
I think it might have been an Oktoberfest in Addison, or some kind of fall beer drinking thing in Addison with Collective Soul.
That wasn't the Flower Festival, Wildflower, was it?
Yeah, it was one of those.
The Wildflower?
No, actually, yeah, that was it. It wasn't a beer fest. It was the one in Plano.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that one.
I saw them with Dishwalla, and there was another cheese band there at Six Flags.
Didn't
when I was young.
I think the Goo Goo Dolls, did they play?
That's it. It was Dishwalla and Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah.
That's it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, counting
You know
blue
that drummer?
cars.
You know that drummer used to wear caulk shirts all over the place. Like he was on when he was on the MTV Awards and stuff. He had a caulk shirt on.
He did?
Yeah.
You want to start the show?
Yeah. We can start it.
I like RoboTuner asked right off the bat, did you tag any stag before you arrived at the temple with your shirt? You are very hunty today.
Told you I was wearing my hunting outfit over.
All right, let's fire this thing.
Because I'm the hunter that chops the heads off a deer.
You
It's
don't
a new
hunt 'em.
show idea I got for Netflix. I don't hunt with a bow and arrow.
You hunt with a
or a
katana?
rifle. I hunt with an axe, like a fucking wood cutting axe.
You don't hunt with two
And
katanas?
I just run through the jungle.
Out of control. Let me fix this real quick.
Next, Netflix on Decapitate the Deer. Decapitation Hunter.
I'll get yelled at.
Decapitation Hunter.
Camera's not straight. What are y'all doing? Y'all drunk already? Here we go.
My boobs
I
show
could
too
be a
much
cult
on this,
leader.
though, man.
I could get
Too-
people
my
to follow
moves are
me.
too
This
showing on
episode of
this.
the
Jerry
Show
Jonestown Massacre.
is brought to you by
Guys note.
Invisible.
Victor Wrench.
and Plastic
Kind of
Object.
invisible in
This
Can't see you.
program contains
Can't see your
graphic
chest at
material,
all.
including offensive language.
I'm not
Viewer
here.
discretion is advised.
Should have used Dishwalla. Show 448. It is November 23rd, 2021. 2 days before Thanksgiving. I guess we are now going full headstorm straight into the holiday season, right?
Unescapable.
It's unescapable.
It's already Christmas time.
We griped about last week about people already having Christmas lights up. I mean, that feels a little early, but man, it's already Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's already time for us to give to the Salvation Army.
Well, Blink, yes.
I've already gotten 3 mailers from the Salvation Army.
Have
so-
you?
They don't even send them to me. They're like, this cheap bastard's not going to pay anything. He's never given us anything any other time. I'd be more than happy to if I had money. That's the part that I got to work on.
Give them the shirt off your back. They can sell it at the.
Yeah, okay.
Hold
I
on.
do have a shit ton of clothes I need to get rid of, though. A
Hey.
little move to Arlington. I don't know how I was fitting all these clothes in one bedroom apartment.
I gotta fix something real fast. Hold on.
I'd have just taken them out to the
Just throw them off somewhere.
I should have taken them over to Susie's and just thrown them in that fire.
Wow.
Like just freak everybody out. Walk to the just walk through the party and be like, "Fuck it, I don't need any of
I
this
don't
shit,"
need it. I'm done.
and then just leave.
all that polyester. People will be poisoned.
Yeah.
Everybody's just freaking out. 'cause
Everybody,
of
what is
fires.
wrong with Matt?
Why did you do that,
that?
Matt? What's going
I
on?
just leave. That's my out. I'm just out.
Were you there when I threw the box in the fire?
No.
Oh, she was burning all her top secret documents before to get the fire going good.
Oh.
And I was like, well, we're done with the box. It's a cardboard box.
What's in the box?
I just set it on fire, and everybody freaked out because it got too hot. They had to back away. And the flames got too big, and I was like, I thought we were here for a good old fashioned
thought we were gonna burn some shit
sacrifice.
down.
I thought we were gonna kill some stuff and
Yeah. Yeah.
do some prayers.
That was a great gathering, but I totally should have taken half my closet in there and like just walked in there and be like, fuck this, fuck you, fuck my clothes. Just thrown it in the fire and then just walk back to my car and leave.
Well, first you have to strip, so you walk back to your car totally
Yeah.
naked.
Yeah. No, then once I get there, take my clothes off completely, throw everything in the
Put
fire.
the gas mask on, underwear and gas mask,
and then just leave.
and then leave. And
Everybody
everybody's
like, what did he?
what just happened?
You know what the first thing said would be is, what'd you give him?
Yeah. He was like this before he got here. Yeah,
Well-
it was a fun weekend this entire weekend.
Yeah, and happy Tuesday to you.
Happy Tuesday to you.
And almost Thanksgiving.
And
This is,
happy Tuesday to our guest. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself now so everybody knows who you are?
Yes. Hi, my name is Greg. Greg Gutfazal, and I'm here, Jerry Jonestown, getting ready to be massacred.
Yeah, we drug you in.
At least you're not a deer, and I don't have my new hunting show though.
I got my headlights though, so
There you go.
So that would stop me. No, wait, I'm the one hunting the deer.
Yeah,
Yeah, actually, I would use you. You'd be one of my soldiers.
he'd spotlight for
It's
you.
spotlight. Wait, that's illegal. Now
That
we're gonna
is
have the
highly
game
illegal.
Ward. Now we're
Yeah.
gonna have the game warden after
But
us.
it's illegal to shoot them spotlighting. Is it
Yeah.
illegal to use katanas on them?
Oh, it's a katana now. I thought it was just gonna
Or
be
your
a,
axe?
yeah,
a fireman's
my
axe.
fireman's axe. You've seen Silent Night, Deadly Night?
Yeah.
It's an old '80s horror flick.
Uh-huh. That's what you're
I
gonna
said
do?
horror, not horror. I said horror.
Well, I'm glad you specified that. I don't think anyone's
That's what I'm
asking.
going to use. In a world where bucks ran free.
So yeah, this weekend was fun.
Stupid.
We had a guest that normally is sitting in our chat room, flew into town from Vegas to hang out with us,
Yeah, that was rad.
and hung out with him Friday night. Went over to the Star because I had my first night with the Cowboys Christmas show I had to shoot.
Yeah,
Driving to Frisco on a Friday
yeah.
at 4:00 in the afternoon.
Almost zonked you out.
It makes
You
you
almost went
question.
head on into traffic, huh?
Yeah, it makes you question the value of life, of your life.
Do I really want
Having
to
to
keep doing this shit?
Do I want to drive back and forth to Frisco?
It's just the way I thought I would.
And you
rev up
work
the
that
rest
area.
Of my years.
The traffic is terrible
Oh,
up
it's
there.
horrible, man. Yeah,
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
You know the two worst places of traffic I think are there, and then right here at 820 183.
Yeah.
That is terrible.
Terrible.
no,
And
no,
it's
no. 35 beats
35's
them all.
pretty
35
bad.
beats it all.
And no
And
matter
35
what they
has like
do,
4 different sections that beat you down.
no matter what they do with 35, it doesn't help anything.
Yeah.
It makes it worse.
Well, the best thing is that it's various stages of under construction, so
Yeah.
they move it around so you don't anticipate where it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And all of a sudden, there's a barrier right in front of you, and it's like everybody has to move to the left real fast at 80 miles an hour,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it
It's the
suddenly
worst.
stops into 10 miles an
It's
hour.
terrible.
It's
And
terrible.
the other thing that happened this weekend, since we're talking about traffic, is they decided to shut down
Yeah, one of the
820,
lanes on 820.
all
the
of
whole
it.
thing.
All of
That's because
820
of wreck, though, wasn't
and
it?
I-10. No, they were tearing the bridge down.
Oh, I thought there was a
The
bad
Highway
wreck, too, the
10
other day.
bridge,
Yeah.
they were tearing it all down, the old one.
So when's the last time you drove up towards 170 on 35?
Not that long ago.
So they're building that little overpass, that exchange right there, right, for 170 and 35
To try to make it smoother.
to make it smoother.
it
How
won't
much?
work.
No, it's going to be just another log jam
Yeah. You can't get to
before you
Denton.
get to the next log jam. I think that's what the guys that make highways do. They're like, okay, we built this. Now that's going to create some traffic probably. So let's create some traffic before that traffic so it takes them longer to get to our traffic.
Well, if you think about it seriously, they draw all these plans up 10, 15, 20 years
And then
before they even
yeah,
get
yeah.
enough money or get approval from the state to do it. So even by the time they break ground, it's all outdated and their traffic data is just shit. because
Expired, yeah.
It's probably quadrupled by the time,
Well, that's
or
the
even
thing.
more.
That's the thing about the COVID shit too. The scientists, like, they're studying it as quick as they can, but you got the spread that's just going bam, 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 and finally they're just like, "We're fucked. This is a pandemic.
Yep. We
We're
can't
done
stop
here."
it. Let it go.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out some other
Talk-
way.
Man, would you not get a fear boner if you were one of those scientists?
Or
the
an
you're
engineer.
oh my gosh!
For
Yeah,
the highway department.
I'd always have a fear boner.
There was a guy that I knew when I worked at my old job at SMMP. This was 22 years ago, right? No, 24 years ago.
When the ticket was cool.
So when I worked there, he said that his plans for that 35 interchange down there, where 35 and 30, the mix
Right.
master and everything, that he engineered and drew up, he would never see completed in his career while he worked there. He drew them up and he would be retired before they were even finished.
Like a quarter of the way done.
Yeah.
Well,
Jeez.
I mean, in both cases, COVID and highway planning, they never take human irrationality into consideration.
They
So you
really
can have the
don't.
best laid plans and you can computer model it, but they can't seem to understand that somebody's going to go from the left lane to the right lane in 350 feet and exit in front of
Yeah.
moving cars. and hold everybody else up and back it up for miles.
Right. Or the dumbass is going to go into a Kroger's and make a TikTok video of him on the COVID side of him licking every single milk carton there is. They're like, surely we're not going to be that stupid.
Surely,
And then like 3 months in, they're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, we're that stupid.
you know, a year before that, they should have known that people are that stupid when they were eating Tide Pods.
Right. Exactly.
Come
That should have
on.
been a big indicator. It's
People
like,
are dumb, but that's just it.
they do dumb things sometimes.
People are dumb and do dumb
That's
things.
funny.
Ugh,
It's funny. But
it's
dumb.
aggravating. Yeah, but
Very
even
dumb.
driving to Frisco was crazy, and you get up there and the Cowboys do their little Christmas show where they light the Christmas tree. And since this was the first one, Jerry was there with his wife. Got some pretty good pictures of this. You'll enjoy.
Was he struggling?
No, well, I seen you one of them
He did?
in the group. The one where I put, I got old Santa's got his eyes on you right there up under that tree with the mantle and all that.
No.
I swear I sent it to you.
Oh, man.
Anyway,
Dude, I got to watch my text better.
it's in the one with you and Jeremy. But the show's great, but it's only 20 minutes long, so I drive 2 hours
To work 30 minutes?
to shoot something that's 20 minutes long. And like, oh, let's go back to Fort Worth.
Man, when I did that fire job where I had to go to all the home fires and stuff and try to get their reconstruction and start working with their insurance company, dude, that was gnarly because you were on call for like 24 hours straight, right? And at any moment you get this message, hey, you need to be out, or you get a call or a voicemail saying, hey, you need to go out to like freaking McAllen. Not that far, but anywhere within like 200 miles sometimes.
Yeah.
And so you'd get up in the middle of the night, go like drive out to Kaufman or something and like be way out there and it's cold, freezing and stuff. And you'd get out there and they'd be like, oh man, that was just like a little porch fire that the neighbor just came over and sprayed it out. Everything's fine. And you're like, motherfucker, dude. You have to drive all the way back. And then right around the time you'd get back to DFW and like close to where I lived, which was Keller, I'd get another one. It's like on the west side.
Did you go to Abilene?
Yeah. Did you get out to Abilene? They might have a 10 alarm fire on a shed.
There's not 10
That's
fire
the biggest shed
stations
ever.
in
And
Abilene.
the person that owns a 10 station or a 10 alarm fire in a shed is probably pretty loaded, and they can buy a fucking another one.
Yeah, that'd be one hell of a shed that causes a 10 alarm.
Or by a fire department.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
Their
go.
own.
Just have your own. Yeah,
Most-
doesn't the Texas Motor Speedway kind of have their own little fire department out there,
Yeah.
ready to rock at any moment?
Yep. And EMTs and everything.
Wonder
we-
how many they have at the F1, if it's just one on that one.
Yeah, they have their own fire department out there.
I would think it was
Uh,
a few.
Yeah, Circuit of the Americas. There's just one out there. One fire station. That's all you need.
I don't know, man.
You just spread them out during the race.
I don't know. You have one of those incidents that happened 2 years ago in 2019. They needed every single bit of fire they could get on, like
Oh, yeah.
fire retardant stuff they could put on.
When Homeboy hit the wall at 380 miles an hour, and it was just a
Sat in a
fireball.
fire for like 37 minutes. I'm kidding. It wasn't 37
I
minutes,
gonna
but it was
say,
like
he would've
3,
been
wasn't it?
Toasted.
Going
Yeah.
in like 3 minutes.
He came crawling out.
Like, well,
I'm alive.
time for me to get up. I'm tan now.
But then you have the rest of the week where they actually race the fire engines on the track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Hey,
those things can motor.
I'm not going to lie. When I started working for Southwestern Bell, we were putting together the racetrack out here at Texas Motor Speedway. We drove our trucks on the track.
Yeah. I did when I
Heavy
worked at the
2-ton
radio
trucks
station.
going. on
When
the
I worked
edge.
at the radio station, I did that because there were some promotions where you could go take a lap with one of the lap cars, and I did it a couple of times. It's pretty cool.
At your radio station, the
And-
promotion wasn't a lap dance in a lap car while doing laps.
Might have been.
That seems like something the
Seems
Eagle
like
would
the
do.
obvious.
They'd lap it up.
Yeah, there you go.
Lap it up while you're getting laps.
Laps.
While you're doing laps.
While getting a lap
While
dance.
getting a lap dance. And your lap dog is next to you, lapping up water as well, while you lap up the beer on the Eagle.
That sounds like an Eagle promo right there. It
That
would
would be a
total.
badass promotion, though, if you think about it. I'd be down to win that.
Well, out in Talladega, they have
Ooh,
a
that'd be
dirt
aw-
track that you can go just take your streetcar on. You want to race your pickup truck, you
Yeah.
can go out on the track and just
Nice.
spin it around in the dirt.
Yeah,
That'd be fun too.
yeah, yeah. That'd be
Cool.
cool.
Kind of crazy.
They allowed the drag races during the summer over there. They used to do it every year. I don't know if COVID knocked it out a couple of years ago, but they used to because when I worked out there, that people would start lining up on Friday afternoons. You'd see all these badass trucks and Chevelles and Mustangs and stuff getting ready to race all night.
That was that.
Boy, there's some good looking stuff.
What was that?
I like
show
hot
called?
rods, man.
So do I.
Fucking cool.
I grew up with hot rods. so-
Yeah. It's
I
like we've-
love my favorite racing. Well, besides Formula One, is quarter mile drag strip.
Yeah.
Get out there and let's see what happens.
Mhm.
Like,
Light
I
up the
wish the-
Christmas tree and go.
Yep.
I wish there would be another like horsepower wars where there's like just 5 workhorse fucking hot rods.
Well, when's the
being
last
pushed
time you've
by
been
all of
to
'em.
Texas Motorplex?
Oh man, it's
down in
been a
Ennis?
while.
I want to go.
Yeah.
Like when they bring in their top fuels and
Yeah.
everything, and
Yeah. And then we can
I'm like,
shoot.
yo, God, that's so loud.
Then we can go shoot guns right after that. We can go over to
I'm not taking a bunch of guns to Ennis with me.
what?
And let them just sit in the car while we're watching.
I mean, we run the AC on them, I guess. We don't have to tell them the guns are there. Wow, this is.
I have a
sounding
friend
bad.
that lives in Waxahachie. We can just drop them off at his place.
We just set off like what? The NSA, the ATF, the FBI,
As we're-
Secret Service.
I can see us pulling into park at
Get on the
Texas
ground!
Motorplex, and the security's just kind of looking at vehicles. They drive by, like, "What the hell is this?" As a little armed militia comes rolling in.
You got man. You're
Oh, we're
clam-
going shooting after this.
So it's funny. I was on my way up pipeline, coming up to your house, and I was behind a 4Runner that had something on its top, and it wasn't. I was like, "Is that man? That's not," because it was the same color. But I was like, the only way that's his is if he wrecked his and they gave him a loaner. But then why would he have the clam on top? And I'm pretty sure that clam's not freaking even close to as big as his. And then it turned, and then I forgot about it, and then pulled in behind you tonight, and I was like, damn, there it is, the clam. It sticks up like that high. It looks like something could be in there that would definitely be threatening.
They would probably want to look through it.
Like you just big old cannon from one of those. What are those warthogs that had those cannon? What are they?
The A10.
Yeah, the
A10.
A10s that had that cannon on the front.
Yeah.
The 50 it was a 50 cal, right?
The airplane that was built around a gun.
Yeah,
We need to make this gun fly,
yeah.
so make it fly.
All of a sudden, your clam just comes up.
Just, what was that movie? The Jackal
Don't turn it off.
with Bruce Willis.
You'd be like, Stubbs, you
where
hit the
he's on
wrong
a
switch.
minivan. Yeah, I'm really worried about like going down to Big Ben with that thing
You can't hit the wrong switch, man.
and stopping at one of the checkpoints, the
And they're
border
like,
patrol
"Okay."
checkpoints. And you're like, I gotta open this thing up. Really, I don't have anybody in there. I can't stuff anything in there. It's too small.
You can't stuff your clam with stuff.
Can't stuff my clam with anything. So yeah, we went after we went to Dallas to Frisco to see the show. We came back. So Adam, Jay Smith, and Susie were with me. I took 3 people that hate the Cowboys out to watch a Cowboys thing, which is kind of awesome. It made me laugh. But we came back to Fort Worth and went to we picked up Shauna because Shauna was in town, and we went to
How come she's not on the show with us?
she left.
She already got pissed.
Yeah, she got
Like,
angry. and
Screw
left.
this.
No,
I'm out.
it was actually a good visit. She just had to get back in town and take care of some stuff before Black Friday this Friday.
She back in the LBC?
Yes, she's back in the LBC.
All right.
But we went to
sorry,
Boiled
Sean, I miss
Owl.
you.
We went to Boiled Owl and we went to High Top Low Key Tavern, which our coffee is done, ready to go. The website's supposed to be live, and we can start selling JJTM coffee
So when am I putting my
here
2
pretty
weeks
quick.
in?
I put it in now. And then we went over to Tarantula, and we went to all these places because it was places Adam wanted to see, and it was weird. This weekend was dead. Fort Worth was dead. There was no one anywhere.
Oh, yeah?
It was strange. It
Yeah.
threw me way off. And then even the next day, we went to Martin House and to Wild Acre, and they were dead. No one in them.
What about, you said Martin House was dead too?
Which I want to talk about Martin House for a minute.
Were they dead too, though?
I mean, it's not like normal where it's nut to butt and you have to wait around for a beer. You know, it was nice that aspect. You could get your beer really quick, but
I think
there was
there's
just
still
like
a
no
lot
one
of.
around.
I think there's still a lot of people that just kind of don't go out as much now, and they wait.
Or
and
is it
they-
because it's the beginning of the holiday?
that could be it too?
Yeah, I think
But
it's
they're-
the holidays.
That's what I threw
It's
it up.
it's,
as.
it's a little bit of
Beginning of
both.
the holiday.
I think there's still a lot of people that will go out one weekend and then go back into hiding for a few weeks, and then come back out. A couple of weeks later, a few weeks later. That's what I think's happening, and then the holidays too.
Can I
The
start a debate?
is that all you wanted to talk about with that?
No, this is talking about that.
Oh, there's more edginess to it.
Yeah, I want to
About
get
to get
edgy
to the
with
meat
it.
and
I want to get to the
potatoes?
meat and potatoes.
All right, let's hear it.
Martin House.
Yes,
Now they haven't treated us well since we started this show.
they did it first. The first
They did it
3
first,
days.
and then someone else came in and did their PR and marketing and was like, "We've heard about you boys."
You need to stay away from those guys.
Yeah. And I think I know it was another podcast just jacking with us, with them, because they were friends with them. But I get it. It's all fun. I love Martin House.
I don't get it. It's not fun. I want free beer.
You ready for a turf war? You
Yeah.
work at a. You just. What'd you
Oh,
just bring
yeah.
in here?
My F team is. Never mind. We
You
don't
just
need to have a
brought-
war.
Yeah, no war. We
No,
get,
no turf war of the
Have you
breweries.
seen our fridge? It's the most
It is
packed it
getting
has ever
insane.
been. I don't know. Does the camera show it?
I
yeah,
can
it is
try.
full.
Is this gonna screw? Is everybody gonna get pissed if I do this?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Okay, I'll
But
take
we
a
can
picture
see.
of
Just
it
move your
then.
mic. Slide your mic over. Look, you can look in there. It's completely full.
Like zoom in, and you can see we have a wide variety.
We'll do that in post. There's your nipple. So, Martin House, great. I love their beers. I love their specialties and stuff. But when you're in the little tap room where you can get a beer and hang out, I don't think 80% of your beers need to be sour.
Yeah, they do have a lot of sours these days.
Too fucking many.
Remember,
to
do they
where
even
I
still
had
do
some
the? Do
sours,
they have the
and I was like,
breakfast stout and the
Oatmeal, that's a standard.
no
Oatmeal, Reach.
Daybreak? Do they still sell Daybreak?
Yes, and that was a good response right there. They still have Daybreak.
Good response of what? Daybreak?
Let's see here. Hold on, I'll tell you. Just make sure.
You talking to me or you talking to them? This is
yes.
podcasting. Ba-dun-dun-dun.
This is live right now.
Podcasting. Dun-dun-dun.
Big day.
This Podcasting.
Have you on the list for a
Dun-dun-dun.
ticket and photo pass for Saturday's Mastodon show.
Oh, nice.
So there we go. So,
So I got to go get that thing done, huh?
you got to go get that thing done. And then I'll have one extra. So Martin House, I got really disappointed, and then we went over to Wild Acre. And I'm going to start some beef.
Between Wild Acre and Martin House?
Wild Acre's the better brewery.
Well, Wild Acre, yeah.
Wild Acre's
pretty
the better
good.
place to drink. It's the
Better
cooler
scene?
atmosphere, cooler scene. They're right, they're within a mile and a half of each other. Wild Acre's selection was way better,
Yeah.
especially this time of year when you want dark beers. They didn't have a shit ton of sours. They had enough IPAs.
Mm-hmm.
They had some sours. They had their darks, and they had Snapped, which is the gingerbread man.
So they had a little
Beer.
bit of it. Oh,
A
yeah,
little
they had
bit
a
of everything.
novelty. They even had some novelty stuff. Some
Yeah.
seasonal novelty.
Seasonal
Niche.
novelty. And
Limited release.
I like the vibe over there better. It's a little bit funner. It doesn't feel like you're just sitting in
More
a
fun.
parking lot. More fun.
Yes.
I like funner though.
Funner is a funner word.
I've always liked funner. But it's like
Except when funner's funner.
it doesn't feel
When
like
it's
you're
lightning
just
and funnering.
sitting in a shitty parking lot underneath a awning with some wooden picnic tables and you're just
And
kind
a
of
dude playing bass with a bucket and a
yeah.
mop. I kind of like
Yeah.
that.
I
though.
mean the view's great at Martin House. That's what saves them. You got a beautiful view of downtown.
yeah.
But Wild Acre,
Yeah.
that's
They're
the
both
place.
really good, though. I have a good time at both of them. Anytime I go to both of them. I always bitch about Martin House, but I ain't got no shade. I ain't got no...
Who's got the
no
better
shade,
bathroom
but yeah.
scene?
Oh, the bathroom scene's Wild Acre, for
Wild
sure.
Acre,
Yeah.
for sure. So
Is that your major criteria? Your criteria right there? That's like the executive position
Well, did we ever do what Belvedere wanted us to do? Was to break down all the
toilets.
toilets? In
Well, I did
Fort
that with a
Worth?
guy in Denton County. We had a 5-star, or we call it, I think it was 5 shits scale, and we were talking
Who's the
about
best
doing
in
it-
Denton?
We were talking about doing it in Denton County.
Yeah, who's the best in Denton County?
There's a hotel on the edge of Flower Mound going back, and it's a Marriott.
What about
And
bars?
It's right across
The best
bars.
bar restaurant.
There's right in the same area. There's a very private little place you can go, a little dive called Texas Roadhouse, and they have a nice little full size like one you could lay down in and be hungover if you need to. If you need to do a few rails off the upper deck or whatever you need to do.
What about bar club?
Bar club. Are we going to do this all the way down to Lola's? Because I feel like that's where you're doing with this.
No,
you're going to take me
I'm
all the way
I
down
want-
to Lola's.
I want
and
Denton
and
County.
finally, the last.
I want Denton
Oh, yeah,
County.
Denton County.
You're doing
Okay,
just
yeah,
Denton
yeah.
County because that's where I
So,
want to go.
where'd
Dan's
the
is
list?
kind of weird.
No. Yeah. Dan's-
Andy's terrible.
Yeah.
Trying to think of who else.
Andy's
Rubber gloves.
Andy's bathrooms for bands and the bathrooms for like the people downstairs and stuff is terrible.
It's terrible.
Except I've seen
rubber
2
gloves?
girls make out,
hmm
and one of them was Johnson's. I guess I don't have to censor my voice. People know who I am.
Yeah,
With Johnson.
it doesn't work.
Yeah, this girl that Johnson brought, the stripper, just started making out with all these hot chicks up in when we played a show at Andy's, and
That bathroom's in a weird spot.
it was the one downstairs too, right across from the kitchen.
Harvest House has a good one.
Yeah,
Sort
Harvest
of.
House, all right.
Rubber Gloves is terrible, even though their new one is not that great either.
I have a lot of good bathrooms where I work. I'm in a different part of
Because you have
Denton
like
County.
Lava Cantina and all that shit.
No, that's the colony, and I don't work in the colony.
Oh,
But thank you.
yeah, Bucky's.
No. That's considered off premise. It's not one of my accounts. But
That's still
Bucky's is the
Denton.
ultimate because the privacy goes all the way down. But I'm getting so done with Bucky's lately. They're
Why?
pissing me off every time I go there, man. They got this thing called the Beast Burrito, and it has all the all the meats that they have,
Mhm.
and like eggs and maybe potatoes, like not very much, and cheese. And they advertise it and have it up there like you can get it, but it's never there. And so whenever you ask, hey, can I get one? They're like, well, it's going to be like 17 minutes. And I'm like, fuck, I can't wait around for 17 minutes for a burrito. And it pisses me off. And so I just drive down to QT, do their meat supreme burrito, breakfast burrito.
And
But the bathroom at Bucky's is genius because it's full on privacy. Door goes all the way down, walls go all the way down. They're just a little small. That's the only problem.
Got to fit a lot of them in there.
Yeah. And they do.
They do.
Like you can get in there and go to the bathroom. There's a very good chance if you find a Bucky's on a road trip, you're gonna be able to take a piss. When you get there, it's just fighting that whole thing to get in, get parked, run
the
through.
Madisonville one is the only one I've
See
had
that
to
there's
wait
no
in
Beast?
line. That's the one on the way to Houston, Madisonville.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
That's a bad one because
So is the
that
one
one's
in Temple.
smaller.
Is
I
it
think.
Temple
No, Temple's
or
great.
Waco? No, Temple's terrible.
Temple's great. The only reason
Dude,
you're
I've been
worried
there.
about Temple is because
No.
the mob or the
The
cartel,
cartel.
was there in the middle of the night.
No, but I've also been there and sat in that parking lot for fucking like 45 minutes waiting on motherfuckers to get back in the fucking truck.
Because we had shit we had to buy. We were shopping.
It's just annoying, man. That place is too big and
I
it's
was
too.
buying my Bucky's swimsuit that I needed for the
Your Bucky's Santa Claus outfit.
yes. Needed to buy my Bucky's nest.
And the cartel night. The foggy cartel night is stuck in my brain. I'll admit it. That was a trip. I don't ever want to have that happen again.
So
Talk about fear boner. Was that night
I think we need to have a mission though, as a show.
to meet those guys?
The cartel? No, we're not meeting the cartel.
Say, hey, y'all remember those 2 jackasses that
Oh,
pulled in front of you? And
We saw you guys one night at Bucky's at 3 a.m.
y'all seem pretty cool and stuff.
Y'all were standing guard around the van, and there was a bunch of
That was
like
cool, man.
there were young kids in there, or young women from y'all were dragging from somewhere, and it was very weird.
You just pop in like Matt Thomas, like, we're going to the bunch of Indians.
No, it wasn't. Temple has a cartel. It was the real cartel in Temple.
We're going to Matt Carmel. No, it's Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel. It sounds like you're saying Matt Carmel. Mount Carmel.
He's been there with us.
I know.
We took him to the Branch Davidian compound.
Dude,
So-
how quick would a cartel just throw us out or kill us? If they kidnapped
They
us?
wouldn't
they'd be
throw
like,
us out. They
It's
would
just
just
like,
shoot
okay.
us. We're done with you.
they'd be like, we got to take you to our boss. And okay,
I've
it's about a
watched Narcos.
4-hour drive. It's 4 hours. We can do it.
Boom.
And they'd get about 13 minutes down the road and we're like, man, you ever thought, man, what kind of van this is? Like, Dustin, touch the van. You think this is like an Aerostar or what is this, man? Do they even make Aerostars anymore?
I
What
think
the
it's a
fuck is going
Chevy
on?
Astro van, man.
I always thought if you were a drug cartel, you'd have nicer vehicles and shit. And they're like, shut up, man.
Yeah, done. Done. That's it.
That's the end of the movie.
You guys are stupid. Credits. Bullet to the
We
head.
don't know, boss.
Sad song. Credits.
We don't know. They just started talking, boss.
Is he also waiting for the plane? The plane? That's
What?
what.
Yeah, Tattoo.
Was that Tattoo,
Tattoo
talking?
was
that
running
your
and talking
Tattoo
to.
voice?
He was talking to El Chapo. Tattoo. That'd be a wild movie.
Is that guy still alive? Is Tattoo still alive?
I don't
No.
think so, man.
He
He's
isn't,
got-
right?
yeah,
Because
nope.
he was old on Fantasy Island, right?
Hey, that reminds me. I've been wanting to bring this up a few times on our show. So, it seems like shorter people, they don't like to be called midgets.
Duh.
So
Yeah, we've
what do
come up with
we
that.
call? We're
Little
supposed to
people.
call them little people, right?
But that sounds
it seem like that they-
derogatory to me, too.
I know it sounds.
I don't like
it sounds worse.
I
Than,
don't like
than
calling
the
them
other
little
one.
people.
Yeah, because that sounds marginalizing.
And you're not
Why don't you
supposed
just
to
call him
use-
bro, dude,
just
whatever?
like, hey, man, what's up?
Yeah. Why do we have to have a name for him at all?
Exactly.
Why do you
So-
have to put them in a class?
Right. But does it seem like that they die quicker? Like they don't live as long?
I think that's genetically true.
Is it?
Yeah.
That isn't the same thing true about really, really tall people too?
Yes. Really, really tall people die.
that
quick.
weird?
It's
It's
like,
like-
a Great Dane.
The extremes,
Yeah.
like both sides of the extreme, you don't live as long.
No.
Interesting.
I don't think you can use dwarves either. I don't think you can say that unless it's the band.
I don't know. I think it is little people, but that sounds
I
terrible
don't like
when you
using
say
little
that.
people.
I don't either. I would never say that to someone. So
Like when we go to the Yellow Rose.
we have a bro, we have a friend that we
And
see. We don't call him.
We're like, hey, bro, what's up? High five.
Yeah, we don't say, hey, I can see that you're a little person. How
You
should
don't
I
break it
refer
down.
to you? Little bro? Will that work?
Can
It's
I
too much
be-
to think about, man.
Can I be your big brother? Matt, I'm older than you. Can't be my big brother. Like you were asking Dave O'Hearn to be his. You wanted to be his little
Dude,
brother, and him be his big
No,
brother.
don't try to skate past that. You're gonna get us canceled with that comment. Can I be your little? Can I be your big brother? That's terrible.
Matt, I'm older than you.
Okay, you're just trying to put the visual and the joke together and let everybody that listens to us put it together.
Jeremy, was that funny?
It was funny.
That's Jeremy's buddy.
Jeremy will like that.
Hey, speaking of which, real quick, we got a donation from Jeremy this week, and I want to read the note because it's crazy. He sent for the show. Where'd it go? It made me laugh. Oh my god, I can't freaking pull it up.
Oh, about you talking about the one we were talking about doing the
No,
Do For It Records show or
No.
Stink Flamingo show and comedy.
he
hour?
he gave us 1621 in honor of the first year the colonizers took advantage of the natives and created Thanksgiving. He themed his donation this week. I was
You
like,
know what?
That's pretty great.
So I saw
So-
someone.
Someone else sent us the 1621.
Yeah, 1621.
It was this week's,
1621 and
donation for the show.
1621 and we'll sign your beer cap. So do you know what's going to be a hot? So last year was still kind of iffy about people getting back together because of COVID. A lot of in Texas,
Like, to make out.
a lot of families still got
Today?
together and celebrated Thanksgiving. But
Oh,
in
yeah.
different parts of the country, there was a lot of people that didn't. So this is technically the first year that families have gotten together since Donald Trump was our president and all hell broke loose,
Uh-huh.
right?
Okay.
Because
Since
we had
Donald
COVID.
Trump
since-
canceled Thanksgiving.
right.
Okay.
So, dude, you want to stop the scene? Like you're there with your wife or your partner, your significant other, whatever, and you want to get out of there. You just bring up politics, and that show is over. There's gonna be some fights this year. Like I bet the cops.
Are you gonna do it?
Fuck yeah, I'm bringing it up.
Are you gonna
Hell yeah, I'm be like,
put your phone on record?
if you got a vaccine, then you're a fucking pussy.
You put your phone
What?
on record because I never get to
Imagine the
celebrate.
hell that would break.
I never get to celebrate Thanksgiving with my family.
Because they don't love you anymore.
No, because I'm at the Cowboy game working. So, what you need to do
Yeah.
is record it, and then I'll just talk to random people about politics at the Cowboy game. How do you think that will go over?
We'll just be Colin Robinson it up. Like, you heard this thing about the pipeline in Canada and stuff.
I'll just go outside before the game and go
Can't be a good thing, right?
go to all the tailgaters and be like, "So, happy Thanksgiving. How do you think Biden's doing?"
You guys want the wall, right?
Yeah.
That'd be a fucking...
We're playing the Raiders.
Stop, pick me up. Get me now.
So that Kyle Rittenhouse. What do you think about
What a
that?
joker.
See,
What a fucking joker.
although
The
I'm
guy
gonna
just
say,
loads a long rifle.
I'm gonna say
His mom gives it to him over in Canada. He drives all the way down to Kenosha, where he meets up with the white supremacist militia.
you didn't watch
Can you
the
believe
trial
this
at all,
shit?
did you?
That's exactly. Man, you didn't even fucking watch the trial, did
That's
you?
the way
And
it's
then
gonna
you
be.
just walk off.
You just walk off.
An explosion behind you, smoking a cigarette.
Walk up to some guy that's just chugging beer and go, "Beto wants to take your AR-15."
Well, actually,
just leave, dude.
I was at Beto's campaign kickoff, and there were about
That's right.
20
20
people,
like that.
and they were all waving their "You're not taking our AR-15" signs, and the police didn't even put any kind of a barrier between them and
There's
anybody because
15 people.
because nobody was going to pay the least bit of attention other than to kind of go over and have a bit of a chuckle.
Dude, you know what's
I
crazy?
wanted to ask you about that rally because that
Check-
was on Sunday, right?
What- okay, check this out. I kid you not. Today I'm driving around, listening to the radio, and I'm listening to 820, right? Which is Cumulus, I think, right?
Yeah.
820. And they got great shows and stuff, right? I like listening to it and stuff because they've got interesting viewpoints and stuff.
Yeah, all far
They're
right.
straight up giving tickets away to a Trump rally like it's a fucking concert. They're like, be the first to call when you hear Trump say, America's the greatest
I
thing
saw
ever.
that yesterday. He's coming with Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah, but
Yep.
this radio station is giving tickets away like it's a fucking rock contest.
Are
So
they doing
much to the point,
stand
like,
up?
Be the eighth caller.
yeah, be the eighth caller and stuff.
Can we
man.
get Brian on that bill?
And the dudes that call are pumped. They're like, yeah, baby, yeah. I knew it one of these times I was gonna win. And then you hear, did you win it, baby? Did you win it? Yeah, I sure did.
It'll give me something to do.
Get the
'cause
clothes off, bitch.
I've been sitting down here in Dealey Plaza for the last 2 weeks waiting for
JFK
JFK
Jr.
Jr.
to come up.
I could walk a couple blocks to the arena and see him. Oh my God!
Do you ever wonder why JFK Jr. died over the Long Island Sound, but they're sitting in Dealey Plaza waiting for him?
Yeah, what's he gonna do? Just
That's
come
really
up out
weird
of the ground?
too. Yeah.
Yeah, I never understood that. Was like, what were they thinking?
Well, you
Wasn't
just
it
answered
a
your own
troll?
question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was a troll, right? It was a troll group, probably.
So you went to that Beto rally. How was it attended? Well,
Yeah, a couple thousand people.
it was.
Yeah, in fact, they all lined up in one giant snake to get their pictures taken, and it
With
was
him?
a long, long line.
Did he stay the whole time?
Did he take?
He was
your
the whole
guns?
time. He actually took a press break for about half an hour
to go
and,
hang out or just go take a break?
No, just to talk to the cameras, and then he went back to signing.
How long
And-
was it?
Well, his speech was only half an hour, 40 minutes,
Yeah.
but the rest of it just carried on for a couple hours at least, 2-3 hours.
And he hung out that long?
Oh yeah, he was
That's
great.
cool.
He was
Were there any bands playing or anything, or
No.
nothing?
nope, just straight on.
They didn't have
lineup.
the Guns N' Roses cover band, Rocket Queen,
Well,
or something like
should
that
have.
playing?
The reason I asked that is because of the Bernie rallies that were here. You know, Jesse played,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't know if all the rallies had bands playing or if he had Mars Volta show up, since he's got connections and
How
you never
rad would
know.
that be?
Yeah.
What if he's like, I will run with the promise Mars Volta will play right now and I will legalize marijuana. I'd be like, yeah!
But I'm taking all your guns.
But I'm taking all your guns. No! And I'd be like, but I don't know. What do I do, Dustin? What I do?
Like, I don't know what you do. I know what I do. I just lost all my guns in the lake.
Yeah.
They all just.
You
I had a
put 'em
boat
You
accident.
wouldn't put them in the clam and try to drive them down to Formula One?
That didn't make any sense. Why would I go towards Austin?
Or were we talking about doing that a while ago, though?
The
Loading all
Big Ben.
guns. Oh, yeah, Big
I'm
Ben.
going to Big Ben. I'll bury them in the desert.
No. Never
Then
mind.
I'll retrieve them. I'll put a little.
It must not have been. This must have been
Locating
off the
device.
show that we were talking about this. Because that's not what you were talking about.
I was talking about the clam going through Border Patrol.
That's right. Okay,
The
so
Border
it was
Patrol
down there.
checkpoint between like
And we-
Marathon
we
and
had a
Big
bunch-
Ben.
Bunch
You
of
gotta be like-
machine guns.
What you actually
the
need to do
clam.
is you need to take all your guns and you need to bury them in different parts of the state and then put it on, announce it, and people will be flocking
Oh
to
my
every
gosh, that's actually
Like
genius.
a
metal
geocache.
detectors.
Yeah.
they'll be.
Dude,
Like
yeah,
that guy
you-
that had the,
like to
the-
enter the contest at all, you got to pay like $2,500.
Yeah.
just to enter it.
that guy that hid the what $5 million, $8 million in the Rockies. All right, it's in the Rockies somewhere. Go find it.
Yeah,
Well, okay.
like
I mean,
6
go
people die looking for it. You're
I
like,
think some people did die for it, but a guy finally found it. It took him 15 years or some shit.
yeah, that's cool,
Yeah.
man.
So that's
that
what I'll
is
do with
alive,
my
dude.
guns. They're buried in weird spots.
Would you still do the podcast if you won $1 kajillion?
Yeah, why not?
You just have
That's
better
all you have to
equipment.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking. I'd probably still do it, except we'd do a lot more of the telecommunications
Well, the G4 would be the
4000
studio.
BX9.
You
Or
wouldn't
the
have
G6
like
where-
would be the studio.
Where you'd be
As
be
we're
in New
flying
York,
from place
you'd be
to
in New
place.
York, and I'd be in L.A., or you'd be in
No.
Montana, and I'd be in the King's
no,
Ranch.
we're on the plane, flying place to place, and to take up our
So we do
time
the
while we're in the
show?
air, we just do the show in the air to occupy our time, so we're not worried about turbulence, and
And then at the end of the
And
night,
that's
we
when you
still
come out-
We come back to Arlington.
we get in hardcore turbulence, and you just come out, I'm gay, and then the plane corrects itself.
One of the most
between-
genius parts of that movie.
That movie, that's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's a great scene too.
It is. It's great.
You think that would happen? I think you would take over the pilots. You'd be like, "Hey, I know what I'm doing.
I
I've got like
this.
75 hours on virtual pilot.
I've been playing Microsoft Flight
Thank you.
Simulator for a while. I can
Take
fly
a
this
hike.
thing.
Take a hike.
Well, you just put your
Get your break.
just
Smoke
put
a cigarette.
your G6 on autopilot, and then you can parachute out, and you have magnet on top of the roof of your house and metal boots, and it just pulls you straight
Ooh,
down to your
yeah.
house.
There we go.
Yeah.
No
Now we're
wind,
talking.
no worries.
And if I have $1 kajillion, I'll just buy another G6. Who
I'd be
cares
pretty
about where it
sick. I'd be
crashes?
pretty pissed though if you didn't tell me that you were going to do that.
Hey, see you later.
Yeah.
How much you been playing Microsoft Flight Simulator? Because I'm out of here later.
Hope you have.
You know that Pink Floyd song, Learn to Fly? Later.
That suck.
Or the Tom Petty one?
Learning to fly.
Oh,
Dude.
we're out
Yeah.
later.
I'd be fucking Google. Fuck. How to fly a fucking jet.
Well, here's my problem. Here's what I hate about flying, and that why I need to go to pilot school is just radio communication. Because if
Yeah.
something does happen, then you've got to get on the radio and tune in and get everything all lined up right, so you can be talking to someone to help you pull it down.
Yeah, now they just scan and like hit a button like.
And then,
Really?
yeah, but then you're talking to you're flying over DFW and you're talking to the LAX tower, and
They're
it's
like, "Hold on, let
wait,
us
hold on,
transfer
I'm
you."
sorry.
We'll transfer you.
You get an assigned frequency, so hopefully you won't be.
Hopefully,
Man. Yeah, I'm not flying with you.
that's
Hey,
I can
bad.
land the plane. I can take off a plane. I can land a plane. I just don't want to talk to anybody. Don't tell me what runway to use or what crossway. I don't care. I'm going to drive where I want.
Flight number DC 677.
Shut up!
Would you mind heading over to the east runway and hitting it in 3 nautical seconds?
What?
On
That
the
makes no
4000
sense.
BX9.
I have no idea what you just said.
No, but we've got an account of us flying. You just haven't
Yeah.
dug it up.
I've got it right here.
You should play it.
I can play it at the end of the show.
You should.
And put it in.
And then play Learning to Fly. Learning to fly. Learning to
Oh.
fly. You should do
Which
that.
is the better learning to fly? Tom Petty
like
or
Tom
Pink
Petty's.
Floyd?
I think
Big
Tom
fan of
Petty's is
Pink
more.
Floyd's.
I think Tom Petty's is more relaxing. I don't know. Both of them. I can let them eat off the same cookie, right? Both of them.
Yeah.
Just split them at the bridge.
Do
Put
the,
Pink
yeah,
Floyd
there you go.
first, and then have Tom Petty slide into it at the end.
that'd be the way to do it, right? Because it's a little darker, and then all of a sudden Tom Petty cheers things up towards the end and
Oh,
leads it
yeah.
out. Go reading out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Greg,
Yes.
been trying to get you in here for a little while.
Yeah, I've been playing hard to get.
You have been playing hard to get. Been
I-
trying to get a whole photographers roundtable, but everybody's busy and it's chaos. So we were talking at the Uncle Toasty show, and I was just like, just come over.
Yeah, I think you need to actually go to Mass and set up the podcast there.
We should.
I think so.
Be
I think
so fun.
They're
We
doing
thought
anything on
we've kicked
Tuesdays?
around that idea several times, and it's never come to fruition.
Yeah, I don't think anybody just sit in the crowd and watch us be jackasses though.
I don't think they would. They'd drink, and some people would listen, and some people wouldn't. It would just be like
have
when
their
you
own
go to a radio
conversation.
remote. Yeah, you're gonna have people that listen and laugh and throw shit at us.
I
and then
said
you're
we
gonna have
go to
some people that
Mass.
just go and drink and have it in the background.
We set up on stage to do the show, but we don't have it broadcasted inside Mass. The house system down.
yeah, we do it there and then broadcast into Lola's.
Yeah, no.
That'd be confusing, wouldn't it?
You see, everybody at Mass still has to tune into YouTube and be like, "What the hell are they saying?" They're on stage. Be complete
I don't think
idiots
anyone
about
would do
Is that
it.
the way
I
works?
think the better way to do would be go through the mains and then just
Yeah, I was
roll a
joking.
direct.
Yeah, I don't know if they do
And
anything
then
on
you could
Tuesday.
plug your
or not.
bass in direct and play a bass solo.
But I've been wanting to get you in here because you're a pretty interesting dude.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Where are you from? Let's start off here. Where'd you come from?
Many places. So
Where were you born?
I lived in Newark, New Jersey, and right around the time that the riots happened in '68, my parents decided to pick up sticks, but it wasn't directly because of the riot. It was my dad needed a job, and he got a job in Albany, New York. My mother was very much a New Yorker state of mind, and she was drag kicking and screaming up into Albany,
Where
but
there's nothing.
where there is nothing. And you wonder why so many people from New York City go to school up at SUNY Albany and all the other colleges. When you step out onto the street and discover there's nothing to do.
Nothing to do.
So I actually graduated high school at 17 and escaped as quick as I could and went to NYU. And since then, I've pretty much, looking back on it, I've managed to be in a place at the right time. So the early 80s in New York City was an absolute amazing time to be there from every point of view. And garage scene had actually picked up.
The music was
and-
crazy.
So I always laugh when I hear people talk about, oh, how the music in the 80s sucked. It's like, well, it depends on what music you're talking about, because
There's some fantastic stuff in the
you
80s.
had the Replacements. You know, if you like Nirvana, then you like the Replacements. If you wanted to hear like 60s style garage, if you wanted hip hop, if you wanted R&B, if you wanted new R&B or old R&B, you still had a lot of the old artists from the 50s and 60s that were coming out and playing. And you could go to the park and see Etta James, and you could go to SOBs and you could see Mighty Sparrow and all the soca stuff and whatever you wanted to do. And it was all
Beastie
there.
Boys
You could see the Beastie Boys and,
and some Bad Brains.
saw the Bad
That was
Brains.
actually that was in D.C. wasn't it? Bad
Br-
Brains. They were
Bad
a
Brains
DC
was in
band,
DC,
right?
but
yeah.
they
went up
there
to
a lot.
New York a lot.
Well, they
yeah.
played CBGB a lot.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
saw them a couple times there, and all the LA hardcore would come
See,
out. So we'd
I
see
would never say
MDC
the
and stuff
'80s
like that.
sucked. Period. Because I liked even the glam shit that was happening on the West Coast too. I fucking loved
Yeah.
all the '80s had badass music. Like I'll still throw on 1984 and
Van Halen?
Yes, I'll still throw in so many and just listen to the whole album. Like just go through it from front to back.
Yeah.
And then I'll listen to the Ramones front to back at any moment. Just go and listen to it, and the whole day have a smile on my face. It was a badass time in music. If someone says the '80s sucks, I will find you, and I
And I
will
will kill you. Wait.
use you like a deer. Wait, that was weird.
But I also remember, like, just when MTV hit, and people needed to be all through the '70s. People needed to be
Yeah.
fed by the radio what to listen to, and they wouldn't listen to stuff that they weren't kind of told was okay to listen to. So we were sitting there at a dorm party, and one of my friends was DJing, and put the B-52s on. Now you look back and you think, oh, the B-52s, but then it was just like it cleared the dance floor. People didn't know what it was. it was dancey, it was fun, but they
Yeah.
didn't know what it was, and they just wouldn't go out on the dance floor until something came back on that they knew what it was.
Can actually dance to.
And same thing happened with Soft Cell. I remember like people with horror hearing Tainted Love and not knowing what to make of it because
Yeah.
it was like this weird sound that they hadn't really
Yeah.
heard before. And all of a sudden, it's like it gets on the radio. And it's everybody's favorite song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but yeah, you know,
I remember that even happening in like little middle school dances that I'd go to, like especially the B-52s. Talk about clearing the floor and everybody just like, oh. And it was funny when it got played after a slow song.
Were you there like Anthrax was a big player as far as metal went
yeah.
in the New York scene, and then Public Enemy, the rise of Public Enemy and all that? And seeing how all that changed?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because the scenes were all pretty sort of separate, and things like the radio and things like MTV kind of melded it all together. And it was kind of fun sometimes seeing a Friends band appear on MTV, like on one of the TV shows.
Yeah.
And Martha Quinn was just on Facebook all over the place. But one of the funny things for her was she was in one of the NYU dorms, and occasionally she'd be working the desk at my dorm. So Martha Quinn was sitting there handing you your mail and your little notes from everybody.
That's crazy.
I don't know if I could
man.
have handled that.
She
Yeah.
was
She
you
was
know,
cute.
just starting
Yeah,
on
she was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she was just starting at MTV.
She was very
so-
intense too. I would be weird of like, hey, hi.
But
Was she? Did you know her?
no.
No.
Other than she was just
You just
somebody
took
that
your
was
mail
your
and
mail.
bounced, huh? Like, okay, thanks. Bye.
But I mean, we quickly knew who she was. But
Yeah.
you know, at that point, it was kind of like she was a celebrity. She was separate. And
Was NYU trashy during that time? was that-
NYU? Well,
Like that area? Was that whole area like really bad off?
well, so NYU expanded rapidly in the late '80s, and early '90s, but before then, it was really just centered around Washington Square Park, unless you
Yeah.
were doing, the medical school or something.
Which, because now Washington Square Park's pretty dang nice.
Well, it was-
and that
it-
area is really beautiful. and
it's
real.
exactly the same as it was
It is.
whatever 35 something years ago, but the East Village was the hellhole that everybody was frightened about. And so this kind of leads into the next bit, which was when I met my wife. I said, well, why don't we go down to this place in the East Village? And she was told, it's like, you don't want to go down there. You're going to die. And I'm like, yeah, the only thing that's going to kill you is like being run over by a BMW, because at that point it had all been like completely cleaned up, and the former empty shells were going for, $4,000 a month and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, we used to go in 81, 82, we'd go to these like illegal record stores that were in a basement, and they would just flip it
bootleg
open.
Shit.
Yeah, well, it would just be, they weren't paying taxes, they weren't doing anything, they just were selling records out of the
Okay.
basement.
That's punk rock.
Oh yeah, and but it'd be middle of the night, and there'd be 24-hour Ukrainian restaurants, and you just go and get your pierogies and stuff like that.
Nice.
And so we got to mix with a lot of like the garage rock scene. So it was largely centered around a club called the Dive, but there was Irving Plaza, there was 240 West, there was what
Yeah.
later became the Continental, and there were lots of other little clubs, and there was Mind's Eye, which started up a little bit later. But they would host all these bands, the Fuzz Tones, Flesh Tones, a lot of the LA bands, Pandoras and stuff like that would come through. And like Rochester, Chesterfield Kings, and the Boston Liars and Prime Movers and stuff like that. Those bands would come in, and you'd have a blast. But then afterwards, you'd go out to a bar. One of the ones that we liked was the Dugout, and you get these dollar drafts, and it was open till 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And then we'd go to get food and watch the sun come up, and then we were at school, so we'd basically have to totter off to class at 8 a.m.
All smelly. Teachers, you smell like a brewery.
Yeah, and but one of the cool things was at the Dive they had this Gore Gazette night, and Rick Sullivan was one of the Gore Meisters, and he had this Xerox fanzine that was just digging into all like the 40s, 50s, 60s trash movies and
Yeah.
horror movies and stuff like that.
Do you have any copies of it still?
Yeah, I saved a lot of stuff from back
Is
then.
it you have it in your house right now, or is it in storage somewhere?
I'm not at liberty to confirm nor deny this in case anybody wants.
Did you bring any for us?
Hell no.
Oh man,
But it's a Xerox copy. I can always just make a copy.
you
of it.
could, and it would be in the spirit.
Exactly.
So, man,
But
that's
he
awesome.
used to bring in people like Herschel Gordon Lewis. So you could just, like we did, sit at the bar passing beers around with Herschel Gordon Lewis talking about, splatter movies and Blood Feast and Motor Psycho and everything else. And it's just like, I can't believe I'm actually sitting here
That's
talking to
awesome.
Herschel Gordon Lewis. And it was all, Rick Sullivan just basically put on the movies. You'd sit there, watch Ilsa She-Wolf of the SS. And then after that, a couple bands would play. And then you'd spend the rest of the night at a bar. But all that scene is still pretty much together. I mean, Facebook kind of brought it back together, but of
Yeah.
course, like the whole garage scene.
What was
never
the cover
really
back
died.
then for a big show?
$5, maybe $8 if you were really pushing. If you
Yeah.
went to a place like Danceteria where the big bands would come, all the British bands.
Maybe have a $20 cover.
I don't even think it got to there. But truth be told, I had friends. I don't think we ever actually paid to go see shows. We were always on the
Oh,
guest
yeah.
list. Just for, oh, you write a fanzine. Okay, well, you're going to cover the show? Well, here you go. And you get +2 or something like that.
Man,
think
I
I-
barely paid $20 like in the early '90s to go see a show. I was looking through some of my stubs. The first time, or the
Remember when 20 bucks
Nirvana
was a lot?
show
You're
I
like,
went
fuck,
was-
man, $20.
Nirvana show I went to was $17.
Yeah. I remember back when you're like, damn, $20 for this show? Like, whew.
I freaked out when I had to pay
then it went to
$75
40.
for a Lollapalooza ticket. I was like,
Yeah.
and it was second row.
And then next,
I was
like,
oh
the
my
next year is
God.
125, and then it just kept going
Yeah.
up.
Well, I used to have a $10 rule. I would never pay more than $10 for a record or $10 for a show.
Yeah.
And luckily, I didn't usually have to pay too much to go see the shows. And the records were always kind of like cutouts, used. Even the imports, like you'd be hard pressed to get an import for more than like $6. And now it's really funny because I sold off all my records, and then they came back.
Yeah, they all
And
came
now I
back.
sit there and I think, damn, if I had this record right now that people are lusting over and they're posting about it, it's like, hey, did you ever hear about this thing? It's like, well, actually, yes, I did. And now it's like $40 or $50. It's like I could have held on to it. And
You could have, if you played your cards right, you could have collected twice on the same
Yeah,
piece of art.
totally could
music.
have.
But when I met my wife, I was working at Columbia House. Some of you will remember,
Oh,
12
yeah.
CDs for a
Yep,
penny
yep,
and
yep.
stuff
Yeah.
like that.
It's
I
your
think
fault.
they're still
it's
after
your
me
fault.
for. I
So-
think they're still calling me. The collection
They-
agency still call me because of that.
But so I was working in the art department, one of the art directors, and the writers were across the hall. And the writers would just be done with their CDs, and they just bring these crates of CDs out and put them in the hallway. So all the
Just-
art staff would come running out and free
Start
CDs.
going
and
through
just-
them.
Rummage through it.
And we had access to like Sony Music and Warner Music and stuff like that. So you go to the company stores and they'd have all these box sets for like a third the price that you'd be paying at the stores
Awesome.
and stuff like that. So you get Robert Johnson box set, you'd get
Yeah.
doo-wop box set, you'd get all the different box sets that would come out, and you just.
Uh-huh.
So I actually didn't want to sit there and fight all my friends for the same Alanis Morissette CD for free,
But I mean, come on.
but
It's got ironic on it.
yeah.
Got to get it. Got to have it.
But
It's like rain.
so I built up this huge jazz and classical collection just
Yeah.
because nobody wanted the stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay. It's like, so I got loads and loads and loads of all the jazz that I never bought on vinyl, and it was just all free.
You
It
should
was
start
just-
a record store, man.
Well, have some friends that could start a record store.
Yeah.
At my height, I don't know, I had 750 albums and
I thought
roughly the equivalent CDs.
I
but-
tried to do it for a few months, and then and the coolest part was just going to random ass garage sales and going through people's shit like a fucking scavenger, and then all of a sudden you'd see like a Lionel Richie record, and you'd be like, "Fuck yeah!" Like
Gold.
yeah, gold, yes,
All
Yes, I
night
couldn't
long.
believe this
well, I
dancing
mean,
on the ceiling.
when Space Age Bachelor Pad music sort of became a thing, and WFMU had really been pushing it, and it sort of evolved into this, Austin Powers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But
Do-do-do-do.
in any case, it was just like all that stuff was all the stuff that you'd find for a quarter. Nobody wanted any of it. You just go to Goodwill, and there'd be racks of this stuff. And all of a sudden, it became like the hottest commodity, and people were just snapping this stuff up, mostly for the record covers. But
Well, that's also how a lot of hip hop samples started back in the day.
in fact,
Yeah.
They'd go find a bunch of these cheap ass records that no one had ever heard of or no one had ever thought anything of, and then either slow them down, speed them up.
yeah, just take them straight. In fact,
Yeah.
one of my friends worked at a record store a few years later after we left school, and that's exactly what happened. All of the hip hop remixers would come in and they'd get all these records from this shop because they had this list. So you'd have Japanese record collectors and you'd have the hip hop kids from uptown, and they'd both come in with almost identical lists. On the one hand, they wanted to bring it back to Japan because it was kind of the cool music.
Yeah.
They would be playing it as it is. And the hip hop kids learned about it and they learned all the cool beats off of it, and they wanted it just for the beats. So you'd get these two crowds kind of fighting over these records, and you're sitting there watching it, going like, it's like, I've never even heard of that record before.
And you guys are fighting over it. Okay.
But yeah, to your point about just digging through, the one that I look back on as a record collector, and I was never like one of these massive record collectors, but I did my best.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they get depressed, they like to go shopping. So I had a lot of records sometimes. And
Were you a very depressed man at the time?
no, but
Like,
you'd
I wasn't buying a lot of
you'd hit your
records.
moments.
Yeah,
You'd
yeah.
break up with a girlfriend or something like that. Hey,
There is
it's time to
something
buy
that
some
is
more
so
records.
fucking relaxing about going to a record store and just
A real
thumbing
one.
Just
through-
flipping
a real
through
one and
the-
just flipping through all
Oh,
of it,
yeah.
man. I
Yeah.
don't know what. We've done. What's the one on the square up in Denton that you and I get caught in every time? We're not going in there. We're not going to go in. And we'll go in there, and next thing you know, it's like 45 minutes later. we're both just
Madhouse, Mad Cat,
Is it-
Mad.
where it used to be next to the Abbey and all that. I think.
Yeah,
over
Mad.
there. Yeah,
What was the
right over there by that candy store. Mad
was the-
Comics.
No, what was the
'Cause there's a cool comic.
The Lane
place, too.
Staley band was Mad.
Mad
something.
Season.
Is that what it is? Mad Season, Madhouse. Anyway, yeah,
No, it's Mad Season, wasn't it?
I know, but the name of the store.
And they do my pain.
Yes,
Self chosen.
but was the name of the shop the same as the band?
I don't think so. I think the comic shop is called Madhouse. Anyway,
There was a question in the chat room by Susie. How was Oingo Boingo received in New York City?
Actually, Oingo Boingo was really popular in New York City.
yeah,
A lot better than Soft Cell.
Well, no. So there was in New York at the same time as there was sort of the beginnings of hip hop, the beginnings of the garage scene, and beginning of a lot of scenes. The hardcore scene was going pretty big at like A7 and CBGB and stuff like that. So you had all these different scenes, and they were all really kind of separate. And some people kind of skidded across all the scenes, but by and large, they stayed the same. But there was a no wave scene. So you had like Teenage Jesus and the Jerks with Lydia Lunch, and you had Mars and Mofungo was kind of on the outskirts of the scene. And Oingo Boingo was, there was a band called Bush Tetras who were back together again, but they were really phenomenal. They were kind of like a no wave but funk kind of just avant-garde band, and Oingo Boingo slid right into that scene. So they were really pretty much welcomed because there was a ready built scene for them to slide into. And
That always makes it easy.
yeah, so but again, it was one of these scenes of it has 200 people, but they go to every single show. That's like the
Yeah,
old joke
yeah.
about the Grateful Dead.
Yep.
that's what the Feds
But-
did to Denton. They just kind of came in from Kansas City and just molded right into the Denton scene.
And
It's
yeah,
cool how
they were
music
always
scenes
packed.
do that.
They
man.
were always and they were welcomed with big arms too. A lot of people welcomed that band in because they were just cool.
Yeah.
They were cool as shit. So when did you start shooting? Were you shooting during all this time?
Well, yeah. So I look at like Lynn Goldsmith, and I look at Ed Culver, and I look at all these other photographers that have all these shots from the late 70s, early 80s, and stuff like that. And I'm just like, why the fuck did I bring my camera to these shows? I was at a lot of shows. Went to a lot of hardcore shows at CBGB and stuff like that. And I see some of the photographers are like, oh, I was at that show. I probably even saw them taking the pictures, but it didn't register.
Yeah.
But I did take pictures of friends' bands and bands at the Dive, a lot of the garage bands. So I do have pictures of things like the Fuzz Tones, the Trifles. I could go through a lot of obscure names, but in any case, the bands that were on the scene,
Yeah.
I took pictures of. There's one band, mod band from Long Island called the Secret Service,
No
that were
Secret Service.
incredibly tight. I mean, they were one of the tightest bands I ever heard. They would just like play hot and heavy real fast and stop on a dime, and it was just like straight mod. And they kind of split right around 88. And I saw them play and took pictures just before they split. And they kind of flamed out big time. Just the band members all just went off in different ways. They tried to bring them back together a few times, but just never happened really.
Yeah.
But you know, I sat there, you know, with Instagram looking at like all these shows, and yes, I was taking pictures, but why the hell didn't I bring my camera? And I realized that in fact, and a lot of people don't recognize this, back in the 80s, the 70s, 80s, you couldn't bring your camera to a show.
Yeah.
True.
You had to have a press pass.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of these people, they either knew somebody in the band. This one guy, Rick Nyberg, that I put a show on in LA and photo show, and I met him there, and he was X's photographer when they first started. So for years, he was X's photographer because he just happened to like know them. And
Yeah.
they were just like a nothing band at the time. They were just a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And he just kind of evolved with them. And from there, his, you know, career kind of developed. And that was the same way with a lot of them. You know, like Ed Culver just mixed in with a lot of the bands that were there because they were all, you know, part of the scene. Again, it was like, you know, a small scene. And
Yeah.
he was there taking pictures. CBGB, you could walk in with a camera, but sometimes it was like, do you want to?
Yeah.
That's you're gonna get it
They
torn
would
up.
even get pissed off if people brought those Kodak, those instant cameras.
Oh, yeah,
For a while,
they-
you couldn't even take those. In.
you
They'd
couldn't even
search
take
you
them.
for them at some places. They'd
So-
hit you.
Yeah, and I remember at CBGB there was a hardcore. I think it may have been the Meat Puppets, like right when they were going from hardcore to more like
They're
Grateful
more
Dead.
Sludge and grunge scent feel.
So they were doing a mix of songs, and like the first album, and then some of the new stuff. And there was a petite young woman there with a camera, and she was like known on the scene. She was at a lot of shows with her camera. I think she was in like New York press and stuff like that. And this guy, like 6'8" guy. So one of the things that killed off the New York hardcore scene was all of the Jersey jocks would come over because they were, oh, you can go and beat people up. It's like that actually is not what the scene is about.
That's what happened
know,
here.
The slam circle is not really there to,
Uh-huh.
you know, beat people. So they would come in. So this guy took her camera, looked at her, and threw it on the ground. And she ran out, and she was in tears. So the slam circle formed around this guy, and it was almost like this tribal dance. They're basically like forming a fence around him. And she comes back, and she kind of walks through, and she has, I don't know, pepper spray, mace, or something like that, but just like straight in his face. And he's
Oh man.
writhing on the ground, and everybody is slamming around him as if he's not there. He's
Yeah.
like writhing on the ground, and everybody's just doing this circle. It's like,
I bet he.
meanwhile,
I bet he thought twice about doing that again.
yeah, and it was
But you remember that happened here with a lot of our shows, you know, especially when Smells Like Teen Spirit broke out and there's a mosh pit at this, you know, this pep rally, and oh my God. Well, all these dude bros and jocks and, you know, college kids start showing up these concerts thinking, oh yeah, I can just get in there and start kicking ass and throwing elbows and hurting people. And that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
It's not what it's about at all. And there is a you know, etiquette when you're in the pit.
yeah,
But these guys just destroyed it all. I was at a KMFDM show at Deep Elm Live, and this dude bro just beat the shit out of one of my friends. Straight up. Black eyes, broken nose, everything. Because he thought that's what the pit was all about.
mhm.
And once I got my friend out, the crowd turned on that dude. He ended up getting the shit beat out of him too. But it was like, that started killing a lot of the pit scene and
Yeah.
the dancing and
Well, I mean, like the 3 Links, they have, you know, no moshing, no stage diving, no nothing. So, but yeah, I actually saw Blur in London, and there was a mosh pit, and it's like, Blur?
A Blur show?
Yeah.
But there, you know, you're sitting there trying to watch, and all of a sudden you're being, you know, shoved over 20 feet,
Yeah.
and it's like, and then everybody's waving back, and it's just
Yeah.
like,
Did you ever see Fugazi?
I did see Fugazi.
No moshing at their show.
No,
Yeah.
well, they
Ian
they
would jump your ass.
they were very, I think to the choir, everybody knows about it, but if you don't, they were very strict on a lot of things,
Yes, they were
straight edge and
hardcore straight edge.
but also vegan, and so they were really like laying down a lot of the rules that later punk came to live by. And I don't think a lot of people these days even really know who Fugazi is, but they were kind of the grandfathers, I guess, of what modern punk turned into.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Yep, just before it rolled over into post. Yep, I would totally throw it out there. Yeah, that era of New York City always fascinated me because it's when you think of New York City, you think the 9 million people that live there, the chaos, the hustle and bustle, but the music scene is tight and small, and the bands of that that fit in a certain genre roll together, around the city and do stuff together. And like you said, their 200 to 400 fans follow them around religiously, and it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. My brother-in-law played with a band that was from Jersey, and it was the same thing. They had their little. It was this group, this style of bands that all rolled together. They all did shows together all over the city, but they had their fans that showed up and were diehards and were, followed them around.
oh yeah, well, I mean, a lot of people would come in and join in. So I mean, you had like we saw Screamin' Jay Hawkins right up on stage with the Fuzz Tones, and he'd come walking around the tables and just talk with you. You get to pat Henry his little cane and stuff like that, little skull,
Yeah.
and and that was pretty wild. It's like here's this guy that you'd only you thought maybe he doesn't even exist anymore, really, but he was still out playing, and you saw him on record covers. You thought of him as the distant past, but there he was, right in front of you, talking with you. And it's just like this is pretty freaking wild.
So when'd you bolt from New York?
Well, I met my wife. She's from Scotland, and she had a little tiny house, little starter house in London, and so we moved over there. And I had switched from film and TV, which I had been doing in the 80s, into graphic design in the 90s, which is how I ended up at Columbia House. And so I met her when I was working there. And so I was just able to parlay that into a job when we moved to London. So I was actually able to kind of just like slide almost right into a job there. So everything was more or less set. We had this little, tiny 2-bedroom house, just a row house, and easy hop onto the underground. And easy to work, even though work was kind of like at the opposite side diagonally in London. And when, like I said, I seemed to always land at the right place at the right time, looking back in my life, because that was like the height of Britpop when we moved there.
The fight of Pulp and Oasis and
Blur. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it was all of that stuff was maybe a couple years earlier. But all of the scene was still really big and vibrant. All the bands were still out playing all the time. And, Elastica was really big. And, so you had Damon Albarn from Blur kind of feeling a bit hurt because his girlfriend was getting bigger than he was and stuff like that. And, but, you'd see the band members. What's different about Britain is that I remember taking the tube one night and sitting across from me reading a book is a woman I saw in a big BBC TV show the night before. It's just like she's just sitting there reading a book, and it's Britain. Nobody bothers her. Nobody approaches her. You don't talk to anybody. And it was the same thing. You'd see like the singer from Sleeper just walking down the street and sitting in a bar. You'd like my wife and I used to just do like once a month we'd go out to a fancy restaurant just to live it up.
It's very romantic.
And it's funny because there was Scottish band Texas, and Charlene Spiteri was the singer, and people used to go, "You look just like Charlene," to my wife, and it's like I'd look at her and she'd look at me and she's like, "I don't look like Charlene." So we're sitting there one night at this restaurant, and I go up to the bar to get our drinks, and I'm standing there, and I kind of look over, I'm like, oh, I'm standing next to Charlene Spiteri. Well, this is good. I can sit here and I can actually
Compare the two.
Compare the
contrast.
You can A/B them.
And I sat there and go, nope.
Did you get them to stand by each other and take a picture and be like,
No, this is,
Did you smell both of them?
I probably did.
That's
I may not
weird.
have been. I may not have been conscious of it, but
I might have thrown you out.
If I'd have smelled. Well,
Yeah.
I gotta figure out who it is, man.
well, they're both soap dodgers. So. But no. So it was funny because that was very much like the way that life was in London.
Yeah.
You didn't even have to go to a fancy place to see people. You just see them on the street. And I actually saw. I don't know if you know Dick Taylor from the Pretty Things.
Yeah.
Sort of like very tail end of his time there, but in '85, I was just walking. It just happened to be in front of the EMI building, and it's like, oh, that's Dick Taylor. I think I'll just keep walking, but I just saw Dick Taylor. It's like, so that might mean nothing to anybody else, but to me, it was kind of like, wow, guy that formed this band that was rougher and nastier than the Rolling Stones in the early '60s.
Yep.
But
So how'd you end up here?
well, we basically just followed my wife around. So her job would take us from place to place. We lived in Switzerland for 3 years in Zurich, and
God, I want to go there.
and again, like right at the height. So that was right around 1999, 2000. So the club scene around the world was really like phenomenal. It exploded, and just the art, the music, the scene, the drugs, the whatever, but everything was there. And Zurich, like, it comes across as like this stodgy old city, but it's not. It actually had this huge underground scene, but you didn't know it because unless you knew where the clubs were, you didn't know they were there. They would be in a warehouse, and you would just know you have to go to the one with the orange door. And you'd walk in, it would be
Yeah.
a full-on Mega Million club inside with lights, the whole deal, mezzanines and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But outside, it's just a grubby warehouse.
Those are the
And,
best ones.
Yeah, exactly.
like-
It was. and
Yep.
some of them had these huge video screens and stuff. Like, we're talking 2000, and but they would have the street parades, and they would have, 30, 40 floats, and each one would have its own DJ. There'd be dancers, there'd be bands, stuff like that. And they'd just roll down the street, and it being Switzerland, they'd leave this trail of garbage behind as all of the people followed this thing. And right behind all the people were the street sweepers.
They'd come and
Just
clean
come
it
through
all
there
up.
and clean it up.
Within minutes, the streets are exactly back the way they're supposed to
Yeah,
be.
that's the way it is in New
That's
Orleans.
awesome, yeah.
New Orleans is the same way.
Yeah.
Well,
They'll come through
once a night or in the morning.
Yeah, I think they double up at.
Did they
No,
do
I
it
don't know
twice
if
a
they do
day?
it during
I thought they
Mardi
only did
Gras.
it once. They come through and clean it up.
I think they double it up on Mardi Gras though.
Oh, they need to do more than that normal. That street gets
Just
nasty.
a regular Tuesday there. they
Yeah,
don't
they
do-
just, yeah,
It does smell like vomit.
yeah, all
pretty
the
much
time.
all the
Yeah, I
time.
think that's just
Yeah,
part of the
It's like 350 years of
facade.
it. So.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's all it all, and especially when it's wet. It's all starts coming back up to the top of the
There's some-
surface of the street.
Some pirate vomit through there from when
There's
they
like pirate vomit from the 1800s, and then there's regular vomit from the I don't know, the PTA mom that went on spring break down there. Just
Yeah.
all mixed into one. That's a gnarly smell.
It's a weird DNA puddle down there.
Yeah, a lot of
Weird
pirates and
DNA
PTA
puddle.
moms and stuff. And
So,
it's the next Martin House beer, the craft beer. It's the vomit puddle.
you go to all these cool places when things are hitting, and then you come to Fort Worth, and it's just
The
Man.
vomit puddle.
When
it's a
it's
vomit puddle.
meh.
You come to Fort
go
Worth
pee.
when it's hitting, because we moved here from the Bay Area. We were living in the East Bay,
And that's a place that smells like shit.
So,
Got all kinds of smells going.
Oh,
We got
yeah.
a lot of IPAs here we could work on with Martin
Yeah.
House.
but yeah, no. So when I was in the Bay Area, there was a lot of the old bands that had reformed. There were lots of the existing bands, and there were new bands that were all forming. And again, you had this one big scene, and so there was one promoter, David Greenfield, who he's been in there, done it all, kind of thing. But he was putting on all these shows all throughout San Francisco and in Oakland, and he was just bringing in fantastic bands from around the country. And he'd bring in bands like the Chocolate Watch Band and stuff like that. But you get Muck and the Myers from Boston. You'd get the Darts from Phoenix. You'd get a lot of the L.A. bands and stuff like that. And they'd all come and they'd mix in with the San Francisco bands, and you just have these absolutely brilliant nights. So that scene died kind of a unwanted death, and that's because all the tech people moved up from the South Bay up
Yeah.
into San Francisco.
The-
So all of the rents skyrocketed, all of the clubs. So these guys, they work hard, and when they come home, they get Uber Eats. They have their 100-inch, 8K TV or whatever, and they don't go out. So they didn't see music. They didn't go to bars. They didn't go watch movies, and everything just folded up. And so a lot of the clubs moved out, or the bands moved out to Oakland. And so Oakland kind of benefited. It had its own scene, its own clubs, but
which I'm hearing is being revitalized
yeah,
and is actually nice again.
yeah, it's
Or yes and knowing beers.
Calling in the bullpen.
Yeah.
I'm the bullpen coach.
but so we moved here. We just loaded up the car. We had a moving truck, but we just drove down from San Francisco and then crossed over to here. And I don't know. To me, I arrived at the right time in Fort Worth. I mean, the art scene is fantastic. The artists are just,
It's doing
very, very supportive of each other. The music scene is phenomenal. I mean, I sit there and I lament. It's like, back in the 70s and 80s, you had the record industry was all the record companies. And you, of course, vied to get on a label so you could get your record out. And you had your indie labels and stuff like that, but they were all being distributed by the majors at some point. And, when music sharing hit, when, Spotify and all the streaming services hit, it pretty much erased that
Mhm.
opportunity. Bands make their money selling T-shirts and hopefully selling something on Bandcamp and, doing
Playing shows,
doing a GoFundMe to try to get money for their next album and stuff like that.
which is weird to
And-
me.
Well, you pre-sell it.
I know. It's
But-
very weird to me.
So, but that's just it.
Yeah.
It's like, so how many bands, like even just in Fort Worth, could possibly be like, say, Joan Jett was in 1980? If you had record label backing, there's talent here that
Yeah.
would just
yeah.
be,
No,
bands
there's
would
a
be
lot
huge.
Of talent.
Yeah, like if some of
Yeah.
these bands could get in a time machine and go back into the 80s,
I mean,
and then
Ro-
bam, just come out.
Royal Sons
early
would be
90s.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, Royal Sons would be cool.
Infamous would be huge.
Yep.
But you sit here and you watch them and you appreciate them and you love them and you sit there and you get all excited watching the music, or in my case, taking pictures
Yep.
while they're playing. And and it's just like I would love to just load everybody up onto 6 buses and just drive them around the country on some sort of like big Fort Worth or
Tour,
DFW tour.
festival.
Here's
tour.
a showcase everywhere we go.
Exactly.
in all the
I mean,
cities.
I honestly think that music here is better than music just about any place else in the country. And actually, that's a Fort Worth tradition. Fort Worth and Dallas, but Fort Worth especially, has had a phenomenal music scene pretty much since the 30s.
yeah.
You have jazz, you had Ornette Coleman, you had, in the 60s, you had Larry and the Blue Notes, and you had, the Elite, you had all sorts of bands that were just incredible bands that actually got some nationwide play. And you can watch Billy Miller and the Fort Worth Tina Go-Go scene documentary on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that pretty much plays it all out. But this whole area has always had great music, and it just continues today.
All different kinds too, like
Yeah.
you were saying. So,
Yeah, and the hip hop scene in DFW,
mhm.
it really, it's where it's at in this country.
It's pretty damn good.
It's really good. I mean, it's the artists. Not only are they out there all the time trying to do their best, hustle it, top themselves, like just be inspired by somebody else, pick something up, and just go out on stage and give it their all. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of great scenes. Atlanta, has a pretty good.
Well, at least
scene.
here they're not trying to kill each other. Like
Well-
Atlanta, that whole shit that happened over the weekend. Good God.
Sorry.
Oh, did you not hear about that Friday?
Mm-mm. What happened in
Um,
Atlanta on Friday?
what was this young something? Was it at a cookie shop?
Oh,
And he was shot up
Yeah,
by a rival rapper
yeah, that's crazy.
or by a rival rapper's crew, and they thought there was going to be retaliation. So
That's like us and
Jeff Lord,
Jeffrey
we went
Lord, man.
shot Jeffrey
Funky
Lord.
Down podcast. Like, wait a minute. Oh, you think you're cool because you got a
Oh,
fucking
yeah?
little podcast
Oh,
that you
yeah?
use a phone on, huh? Huh?
Do you wanna
Huh?
make that
What?
comeback?
What? You like to fish? Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm getting a message on who it was. Young something. Young.
Young Jeezy.
Is that who it was?
No, I don't
Oh.
think so.
Yeah.
It was Young Jeezy.
Young Memphis. Oh,
Oh.
no, that was in Memphis, not Atlanta. Sorry. This is where that happened.
Yeah. What was
But
your
yeah,
rant?
it was still.
You said you had a rant,
I
man.
was going to get to that. Hold on. We're going to get to that because I want to ask you about something. It's something we talked about at the record store day. And I want to, if we can get into this, if this is cool.
I don't know.
Depends
about
on what
this.
it is.
Give me a clue.
The Netflix thing you were trying to do, or the show,
The one about loading up the Fort Worth bands and touring around Texas,
Yeah,
or
no.
touring around the country.
the one about the your grandfather was a painter.
Oh, okay.
Can we
Yeah.
talk about this?
We can talk a little bit about it. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Um,
This blew my mind. You started talking to me about it at the record store day. I was like, what?
So to fill in everybody else that's actually deciding they want to listen.
So we don't have many listeners. So
We got people listening right now. We got quite a
my
few.
my great grandfather was a court painter for the Tsar. His name was Vladimir Plotnikov, and so his most famous painting, you can buy it all over the place on eBay and stuff like that, and it's called The Bathhouse, and it has a bunch of scantily clad young women in various states of bathing, and it's done in a very Russian, very Dostoevsky kind of dark style, but nonetheless very popular. People sell art prints of it, postcards, the whole deal. And as far as people know, there's only 5 paintings of his, and they're all at a museum in Perm in Russia.
how did that happen? How'd your grandfather? You said your grandfather,
Great grandfather.
great grandfather.
What-
How'd he hook up with the czars? Like he's just smoking weed outside a Rolling Stone show and was like, "What's up?"
I
man?"
don't
Well-
think those time periods line up.
How did
Well,
it happen? How did it happen,
So,
man?
so before you had your phones, you had your artists, and before you had your cameras, you had your artists. Well, of course, they actually did have photography when he was doing his stuff, but he was a watercolorist and an oil painter, and he would go around Russia painting scenes, the churches, the peasants. So he became known as the peasant painter, and so he basically was put on by the Tsar. Now, I have to backtrack a bit. My mother's side of the family is Pennsylvania German. They have a book, hardcover book, 3 inches thick.
About
that
killing
goes,
vampires.
no, it goes back to 1560 or so. It's the family tree.
Okay.
So they're German.
Yeah. They keep track of it.
It's a hardcover
Yeah.
book.
Somehow I'm
Um,
German and my family was hardcore German and they have no idea where we
Yeah.
like it only goes so far. They didn't keep track of a book.
That
Someone
could be-
lost it.
It could be that whole camp thing and stuff, probably.
But my
I don't yeah.
my father's side, the Russian side, you can go on ancestry.com. I can't find like much past my great grandfather. There's bits and pieces and tantalizing things, but no connections. So like most of my family's side is legend. It could just be made up. It could just be, somebody says something and it gets repeated as the truth, and then it has no bearing to
Folklore.
reality whatsoever.
Was it folklore? Is that what they call that?
Something like that, yeah. So it's basically what happened was his daughter married my grandfather, and out popped my dad, and there were a couple other brothers, and the 3 brothers fled Stalin and went across Russia to
Crazy.
to Shanghai, the international city, and they were in a town called Tientsin, which I don't remember the current Chinese name. But in any case, it was kind of like a pretty decent lifestyle.
I turn my
But
phone off.
but the question but the question was, how did they get from Western Russia to China?
Yeah.
Because the Russian Revolution was going, well, actually, this was after the Russian Revolution. And if we want to backtrack again, Vladimir Plotnikov was executed by the Bolsheviks because he was in the Tsar circle. And regardless of the fact that he was a
wild.
watercolorist, and probably
I'm just a painter. Too
Yeah.
bad. Sorry.
so there's a lot
man.
of stories of like they took what wealth they had.
Is this what you
And-
all talk about at Thanksgiving dinner?
Yeah, pretty much. um,
That's freaking
That's
so
gnarly.
awesome.
so we have photo albums of and
All,
I
a
think
bunch of people, and you point them out, and like, oh, there's so and so.
yeah, basically it's.
Yeah.
But I think the three brothers each made more or less identical photo albums. So
Really?
some of my cousins have more or less the same photo album that my dad had, and we'd sit there and you'd get different stories.
Yeah, it
looking
doesn't
at the
seem like
pictures.
anyone's doing photo albums anymore. That's a lost romantic art right there.
Yeah,
People doing photo albums.
I guess
like,
people scrapbook now.
Yeah, I don't even. But like, I remember when every house had a big ass photo album that people would go through and stuff. And now it's just like, oh, here's my phone.
Right. Some place way back there, 8,000 pictures ago. That's the picture I want to
Right.
show you, rather
Right.
than like flipping through the pages.
Yeah, not like flipping through the pages. Kind of like flipping through the records, man. When you go to a record store, you want to flip through the albums and check out the art and check out everything about the album. Same as the photo album. You just want to creep out the people that said, "Look at my photo album," and sit there like,
So there's only 5 paintings known
of that
The Trinity
of his
Cathedral.
grandfather, great grandfather.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
slaughter these because they're Russian. Solovetsky
Russian.
Monastery, Church of the Ascension of Christ, Old Believer Cemetery, and then in the Women's Bath. That's it, huh? That's wild.
That is wild.
So I have a sketchbook of his, and so to kind
You're
of
trying to lay claim to him,
well, I
become a cajillionaire.
well this his a couple of his paintings are in private hands, and they did sell apparently on like Christie's for a fair 5-figure sum, but they're
Damn.
but in any case, to sort of entice the museum in Perm, I said, well, I happen to have this sketchbook and actually looking for a lot of genealogical information. And I pointed out several names that I had found that there's no direct links that I've found, but they seem to all fit together. Like the daughter of this person married this artist, and this artist then became
Yeah.
like the professor at this academy. And then the whole line goes dead.
Oh, really?
And so it's like lots of these little fragments all over the place.
What did
So-
the museum? What did the people say that you were talking back? going back?
received a response.
Oh, you
But,
didn't?
no, I mean we were chatty up until the point that they actually said that they were going to have somebody get in touch with me, and then
They just never got the response.
Never got a response.
so because of that, and this is what Dustin was asking about, is I thought, well, why don't I try to find out? So I thought probably not this coming year, but the year after. And it certainly depends on what happens geopolitically with Russia and China and the United States, and how popular U.S. citizens
Well, I
are.
thought things were going great.
Yeah. Things are looking fantastic for you.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
it's basically what I would love to do is just do a documentary, but it wouldn't be the kind of thing where it's like this happened and this happened and this happened. Really, what I would do is take the viewers on a ride with me, finding this stuff out.
We'll
Like,
go with you.
is it legend? Is it fact?
Yeah.
Like,
Chase down the.
Where are the other paintings?
truth.
All this other kind of stuff.
I'll follow you around with a camera as long as we're not going to try to run from
Man, I'll go too and
the
get the
Chinese
munchies and
army
stuff.
trying to grab one of these paintings and leave the country with it.
I'll get the beer. I'll get the beers and stuff for us. Like, here's a beer. You can offer them to the guards.
Yep.
That's just freaking
That's crazy. Man.
awesome.
Mind blowing.
It is. It's pretty mind blowing.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't so full of
What-
folklore, if it wasn't so full of mystery, if it
Yeah.
wasn't so many fragments, there wouldn't be a story. But the idea of not even finding out answers,
Yeah.
just going and trying to find what the hell actually happened.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like I have one story of one of the three brothers got caught by Russian customs, and he had some loaves of bread with him. Well, the customs guy wasn't stupid, so he took one of the loaves and broke it open, and there's like all these jewels inside. And he's like, basically, the brother's like, well, I can either die here or here, have a loaf of bread. And the guy let him through.
Oh yeah.
You know, another story of my
Did one of
grandfather.
the pieces
Jesus.
of the loaves of bread have cocaine in it?
It's better. It just had like, you know, rubies and stuff like that. Like anything that they had managed to like scramble from wherever, as you know, you take your cash
Yeah.
and you exchange it for jewels because you can put them in your pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
That's like
and-
Narcos. When
Yeah.
they come up on the federales and stuff, and they'll like,
Well,
Like-
here, take this
yeah,
with you.
here you go. Yeah, and it's either
Yeah.
smoothed out or it's not. Depends, but that's wild, man.
Yeah.
You should take us with you when you do this. I'll do the lighting.
There you go.
Do the lighting.
Well, actually, I have
Flashlight.
I have some friends that do documentary work. So they basically told me like what kind of gear on
get?
on an adventure like this to take, because you don't want to be very visible.
No, small and
And-
light.
And you know, you're not worried about the FSB because A, they'll know that you're there, but if you're not causing any trouble, they're not going to pay all that much attention to you.
Yeah.
But if you start whipping out cameras and interviewing people, then
They get
uh,
weird.
They get a little crazy.
Yeah, so you need to have
Keep
a
it low
guide.
profile.
Well, you also have like an official government guide who will
Take you around.
take you around and acts as kind of your liaison to make sure that
You
things
don't get
get
into some
smoothed
shit.
over. I don't know that the same is true in China.
What happens if you got busted smoking, like you're burning one in Russia? If you were smoking a lefty, Anything?
Ever hear of Turkish prisons?
Yeah.
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 You're going to the gulag,
Yeah.
Oops.
and you're gonna have to fight.
What
your way
about
out.
China?
China, there are certain aspects of being a U.S. citizen and being detained, but if you get caught for things like drugs in a country where it's really
Yeah.
frowned upon,
You ever seen that Claire Danes movie? Where she gets
or,
I have.
busted?
or
Yeah.
Midnight Run.
That one scares the
Crystal
shit out
Palace or whatever?
of me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one scares the shit out of me.
So,
Gives you a fear boner?
Total fear boner.
so basically,
I don't
just
think I do good over there, man.
no, you just play it straight.
Yeah, I
But,
think so.
but
It's. I mean, if you really like, just break it down. Like, it's your great grandfather probably just sat around shooting the shit, drinking whiskey with a czar.
no, I don't
At
think they
some
ever
point.
met.
Oh, you don't
probably
think they
didn't
did?
party
Oh,
together.
okay.
I think he was just you know, an employee.
It's like a documenter.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna
You never know.
document you.
Sometimes
Yeah.
they come and hang out with people.
Although
Yeah,
I-
true.
I've been watching Foundation
Troy?
on Apple,
Uh-huh.
and I was kind of thinking about that it's like, you know, the emperor there, you know, being the czar, and he keeps calling in all these random people to come before him and talk, and I'm like kind
Yeah.
of picturing my my painter great grandfather being called in front of the czar, and it's the same kind of experience.
Because you know those guys are.
Oh man,
When
I
you
thought
look
we had
back
a
on
Russian
things-
hat for a while. Where'd it go?
I don't know where it's at, but when you look back, you know, you hear these stories about those, how the kings, the czars, etc., all got bored, and would just call up random people and be like, "Hey, let's hang out, let's talk. What are you up to? You know, what's going on?"
So
Of course,
the-
it'd scare the shit out of the peasants or whatever that would
Oh,
come
yeah.
in there before them and be
we're
like,
not worried
"Well,
about
what do
the
you want?
peasants.
What do you want? I just want to have someone to talk to,
Who do you think you are?
just have a conversation."
I am your king.
Yeah, I'm your king. Broken Down Palace, not the Crystal
Broken Down.
Palace.
Oh.
Not Crystal's Pizza over in
Crystal
Irving.
Skull. So the
Song two.
bathhouse picture. I'm sorry.
Song 2 of the set list.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He's talking about Mastodon. But
Sorry.
they're coming to town Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Saturday.
he wants me to go. And
You should
thinking
go.
about it. But I should go. So getting back to the art pieces and stuff, the bathhouse picture, like what do you think that's worth? Like if I was to just decide I wanted to buy one, I wanted to put it on my my credit card. Or
I'd say, to be honest, it's probably
Amazon
just in the
card.
5 figures. I don't think his stuff is particularly
5
high up
figures is
in
a
the.
lot, though. I mean, that's not like chump change.
No, but it's not, you know, some massive you know.
Did he have
piece
any
that-
6 figures pieces? You think?
I don't know what the ones that are in the museum are worth. I don't I don't.
wonder
I
what
don't
that
think.
is.
I think he's kind of looked upon as like maybe a C-list Russian artist.
Well, see,
So
the reason I'm curious is I've seen that new show with The Rock, the movie and stuff, and I'm thinking about making a play at some art stuff. You know?
You're going to become an international art thief?
Yeah, I was thinking
Okay.
about it. You know, I think I got what it takes.
You know, I was watching that movie, and I really wish there's one thing I wish I was super talented in, and that is
Climbing scaffolds, scaffolding and stuff.
really climbing scaffolding.
doing
I wish,
parkour on the scaffolding.
wish I
Wish I
could do
was really good at
parkour on a scaffolding. I wish that's what it's. No, I wish I could do sleight of hand,
Yeah,
like the magicians do and stuff with cards and
just go to a
crap.
magic shop. They get you started.
Okay,
What?
takes years to get
It's
smooth,
as good as those guys?
but to where you can do stuff and make
I just taught my youngest daughter the first card trick, where you flip the deck real quick, and she thinks it's the greatest thing ever. Like she was so freaked. It's like I gave her the power of Grayskull
Like,
when
oh my
she's like,
gosh.
"Here, I'll show you how to do this cool trick," and it'll freak everyone out until you're like 30, and then you'll get slapped in a bar because you grabbed a boob while you did it.
What's the guy?
It's a
the,
joke, I
the
never did
big
that.
magician David Copperfield. Like I
Yeah.
want to get so good that I
David
can
Blaine.
make the Statue of Liberty disappear.
Yeah, yeah.
I like all the
See,
people
I
when he
like-
did
I
that
like
that were
David
living in New York going.
David Copperfield,
It's still there.
his sorcery was better. David Blaine's, you're like, dude, you could die, man.
Well, David Blaine's is not
Like his
magic. It's like
illusionary
feats of
like,
strength.
Yeah. No, he did. Remember when he floated and stuff at Dallas Cowboys training camp?
That's just the foot
And he
thing
did
and
the
how you
and he
look.
did card tricks and all kinds of stuff.
The card trick, yeah.
The
I
whole
wish- I wanna
chaining
do sleight of
yourself
hand.
up on Times Square while it's freezing cold in a
Yeah.
box of water. I don't want to really do that.
I
That's-
don't-
Sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, you got to train your body to where you can hold your breath forever.
Yeah, it sounds like something I just wouldn't be into.
Yeah,
It's too much dedication.
I got to go play the new Halo.
Yeah.
What you got to do is
What a
you
podcast
need to find Jimmy Grippo's book. Jimmy Grippo was the master of sleight of hand. He was boxing promoter, but he was also a master magician. He used to appear on Johnny Carson, but he also had a regular show at Caesar's
Right.
Palace.
He was
And
named that.
he used to do tricks that people had no idea. Even other magicians had no idea how he did it, and he would do it time and again. And he was one of the kind of card magicians that would you'd get it wrong, he'd get it wrong, he'd get it wrong, he'd get it wrong, and then all of a sudden the whole trick would come about, and he would get it right, and you would not know how
he
he
did it.
managed to do it. And
Those are the best magicians, the ones that fuck with you for a little bit and then like bam.
he
Look.
also, I'm trying to remember
This.
if this is true or not, but he took J. Edgar Hoover's wallet out of his pocket while they were talking to FDR, and
See, that's a sleight of hand I want.
handed it back to him.
Yeah.
And
What good would you use it for? That superhero strength to do that.
well, stealing wallets for one.
What would you do? What would you use it for?
Making the condom disappear real quick. I don't know. Yeah, I put it on.
It's gone.
Let's go. It's gone.
That's a cool magic trick.
You have the worst sleight of hand skill ever.
I'm gonna have to get back.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to go on a little rant because we usually go till about 10 o'clock. So I think I can get this in 8 minutes real quick. So I have an issue. I don't know if you saw the news that came down. If you listen to
Erectile dysfunction.
no,
Is that news?
that's not news.
But I know how to make a condom disappear.
This week it was pretty well known in local news that there was Sasha Bass, wife of
There was an incident.
Ed Bass, had a little incident over in Fort Worth. Over at the new hotel over there, the Hotel Dryce.
Yeah.
To where she carried a
Dog.
little dog in her bag.
What kind of
and
dog was it, by the way?
They didn't say. I don't see it, but basically to sum it up real quick, the Hotel Dice's bar manager explained to Sasha Bass that after she saw the dog in the handbag, that dogs weren't allowed in the bar. Was very nice about it, and Sasha Bass, the group she was with, basically laughed at her and said, "Well, do you know who we are?" And it was a little more than that, but that's
Don't act like you
condensing.
haven't done that before.
all the time as a smartass. Do you know who I am? just to watch the people laugh. But
I'm in the methinks, man.
so this is an incident where the Basses, if you aren't from Fort Worth, basically are the money power in
Right.
Fort Worth.
And rivals
they
to
have
the crappie
built and
that live on
the crappie and the sun perch. But they basically helped rebuild Fort Worth. Everything that's massive and big and built in Fort Worth comes from some Bass money.
Yeah.
Now, my issue with this is, yes, what she did was shitty. This whole attitude of entitlement, and don't you know who I am, and blah 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 is bullshit. Because who gives a fuck? The way I posted on Sosa's when he wrote about it, I said there's three things I always think of when someone says, "Don't you know who I am?" I said, first off, you put your pants on the same way I do every morning, one leg at a time. Second, we all get the great equalizer, diarrhea, at some point. And third, the same.
We've all had a dick inside of us at some point.
Wait, no. Third,
In our mouth at some point. We've all had a penis inside our mouth.
no. Third,
On our face.
Third, the same 8-cent piece of lead that can end their life can end my life.
Okay, that's a little dark.
Wealth won't stop that.
Right.
Wealth can't stop that.
It's a terrible way to
Okay.
start a conversation in a bar, though.
But anyway, so this story, the story got out and everybody was writing about it. Everybody kept going. And at the same day that story broke, the Turkey Awards for the Fort Worth Weekly came out, in which editor Anthony Mariani, you know what the Turkey Awards are. That's where they give the awards out to the shittiest people of the year in the
Have
state
they
of
always
Texas.
been doing this?
Yeah, they've done it for years.
I didn't know that. I'll have to read it.
In the write-up of the Fort Worth Weekly, Anthony, I'm going to read this word for word because it kind of struck a nerve with me. It says right here, someone in this one-horse town needs to tell it like it is. The Star T has no balls. The business press and Fort Worth Report are even less inclined to piss anyone off, especially their advertisers and well-off owners. And Fort Worth Magazine actually craves a church state, but only one for well-off whites and well-off POCs who are so desperate to be white adjacent they turn their backs on their own heritage. That's why the Weekly is here, to speak truth and power. Well, when I read that, I got kind of pissed off. I was like, that's what we do every week. We come in here and tell it like it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Bitch about shit that happens here. And there's a lot of stuff we've talked about. The Fort Worth Weekly won't even touch with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
Issues and things that have gone on in the city.
Right.
So the Fort Worth Weekly types up a whole article talking about this Sasha Bass thing and issues.
Uh-huh.
It was up for a couple hours, then they removed it.
Why? Maybe legal stuff?
Because they're the one horse in this town that can tell it like it is. Because they speak truth and power.
And confidence.
And confidence.
power.
Fucking the Fort Worth Weekly took it down because they got fucking scared. And that's what
Like they
pisses
thought
me
they
off.
were going to get sued?
Who gives a shit? This is all
Public
public
shit,
knowledge.
yeah.
This is all what happened.
Maybe they were...
This is all public record now.
It
It's
probably
all
gets
on
back to
Twitter.
money.
There's
They were
all
thinking
sorts
that
of letters and
maybe
stuff.
the Bass were going to pay them a bunch of money to
Then
advertise.
don't fucking write that you're the one. Someone in this one horse town needs to tell it like it is. When you fucking pussy out on a stupid ass story that doesn't need to be taken down. That you just look weak. I loved the Fort Worth Weekly
Yeah.
years ago when it was edgy
Yeah.
and they weren't trying to kowtow or not upset, artists or people in this town that are doing wrong. They'll go and pick on bands that, they think they can fuck with and treat them like shit. But if it's someone that is one of their little lap boys, they won't talk anything bad about them.
And with a lap dog.
With a lap
Getting a
dog
lap
getting lap
dance.
dances while doing laps around
Texas
Motor Speedway. But yeah, this, first off, the Sasha Bass thing happened.
Have you heard from anyone from Fort Worth Weekly though, that said why they did
I've
it?
asked 3 people that I know that work there.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. I don't know why it's pulled down. I don't know why they pulled it down. Maybe it'll come back up. It's still down today.
When did it get published?
The same day these Turkey Awards came out. So what? Last Thursday?
Did any of the Bass brothers or sisters get a Turkey Award? Are any of the Bass
Who gives
sisters
a
hot,
fuck?
by the way?
Well,
Like, do we
not
have
that I know of.
Like, is there
Well,
pictures?
Sasha Bass is Ed Bass's wife,
So
and he
s-
did this right. You know this, right?
Sasha Bass.
He
is
did
she
what
hot?
you would do.
Oh, what's that?
Ed Bass is 72. Sasha's 36.
Okay, so Sasha's probably hot.
Hmm.
Uh-oh.
I think I've seen a lot better around Fort Worth.
Uh-oh.
A lot better around Fort Worth that are 36 years old.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But
No, I've never hung out with her, so I look forward to doing it, though, Sasha. Hook me up. Give me a call.
I'm not hanging out
Hook
with
it up.
some whore that brings a dog to a bar and is an asshole and wants to be like,
That's all of
don't
Austin
you know
and
who I
Denton.
am? Don't
Isn't
you
it-
know who I
Isn't
am?
it all of Austin and Denton, Texas?
Yeah, but a lot of people that bring their dogs to the bar and they're told
Aren't
they
assholes?
can't be in here, they'll leave.
Yeah.
They don't laugh at you and go, don't you know who I am? So you go hang out with that asshole crowd
Yeah.
and see if it works out.
You didn't give the rest of the backstory, though, on the original event as much as you probably should from people that don't have any idea what we're talking about that aren't from FTW.
What do you mean? I said she walked into a brand new hotel bar
Mm-hmm.
with her dog
Mhm.
and was told dogs aren't allowed in the bar.
Yeah, there was a lot more to the story than just that.
Yeah, I compressed it.
Yeah.
But it went back and forth a little bit. That
Got
was
into a
about
little
it.
tiff.
It-
little bit of a tiff, little sissy tiff.
And it went a tiff. She got pissy and kept laughing at the wait staff at the bar manager.
And then her I thought there was her entourage started mouthing off for her, and it got to be like almost like a bullying thing.
It did. It turned into a whole bully thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was
It's-
saying when they all started laughing at the bar manager and stuff.
Always getting, man. The thing is, I think if you're born into that kind of money, people don't. Or actually, she wasn't. This is married into, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I always assumed that I'd be pretty cool as a rich person, but I think I'm just telling myself that to get karma to become a rich person, which is very selfish.
Do you think with the Fort Worth Willie, do you think the Basses reached out to Anthony? Were like, you need to take this story down, or else we're going to cancel all
I
your
bet.
events coming up.
I bet there's a good chance that happened.
Why would someone with that much money and power give a shit about what was
'Cause
about
it
what
affects their brand, man. It's like
one
the- it's
negative
like the-
story out of the 900
got the
positive
why.
stories you do?
You got the why, like
You know what?
branded into your chest. You better act like the Y Ranch.
Maybe Ed needs to tell his wife not to be a cunt in public. I'm being truthful. You came into this money. Don't be entitled. I'll shut all your cards
I don't think
down.
that people that have had money like that understand. Like you and I, we have a good grasp of that. We would probably never act that way to a bartender or
as
bar
soon as
staff.
I got a ton of money, I'm an asshole to everybody. Don't you know who I am?
My point being, though, is I don't even think that it's even on their radar that much. That's why I think maybe it had nothing to do with the family. It probably had to do with people that have
But
the family
you're so
name
upset
on their.
that you go to the Fort Worth Weekly and tell them to remove a web story.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it was probably wasn't someone in the family as much as it was some kind of venue that has the family's name tattooed on it.
Probably. But
That's
Anthony
probably
needs to
who
stop
it
being a
was.
pussy. That's who I'm calling out. Anthony in the Fort Worth Weekly, don't write a bunch of shit leading in this thinking you're all a bunch of badasses and that, the Weekly is here to speak truth and power.
And confidence and power.
And then you take a story down because you're a puss. Stop.
Man, some people don't like that kind of tension in the air, and they all hang out in the same area, right?
In the news cycle, it was
They all go watch Eddie Vedder on the weekends. Fuck them.
at the zoo.
Just kid, Fort Worth Weekly. I love you.
Yeah, like Susie said, the important part of this rant is that the Fort Worth Weekly didn't back up their own story, and that's what my rant is. The Fort Worth Weekly talks all this shit and then backs out.
Last
night,
them running their mouths
stupid.
about themselves, about how they're going to call you
They're
out.
so badass and call you out, and then the same exact day this is published,
Yeah.
they put that little story about Sasha up there, and then it's up there for a couple of hours, and then they remove it.
Did the Dallas Observer pick it up and run with it at all?
Dallas Observer doesn't give a shit about
Did any
the
of the
Basses.
news organizations pick it up and run with it at all?
None of the only one around here would be
media
Channel
groups.
5, and I'm sure there's other shit going on besides the
Yeah,
Basses.
WFAA covers the Basses.
Eh.
All three of the major or four of the major networks will talk about the Basses.
When they do something big, they're
And you
not
know
going
why?
to do a little fluff
'Cause
gossip
that's
piece.
bad bass. What?
The news
Gossip
channels
piece?
aren't going to do a little
Gossip piece.
fluffy gossip piece and talk about, oh, she was an asshole and went into this bar with her dog and
That's like a Tuesday in Dallas.
Yeah, that's like.
Yeah.
Do you know what Jerry Jones
Farted
relatives
the other
do?
day.
Or,
What he did in the restroom
yeah,
at the strip club.
with
other day?
with the girls with Santa up on that mantle.
I'll put you
Yeah,
up
I-
on that mantle.
I think the problem is DFW doesn't have any tabloids.
We need to start a tabloid
The
company,
New York
man.
Post and the Daily News would have run with this and run with this and run with this.
You're
Oh
right.
yeah,
And
yeah, that'd be
they
big
would
news
not-
up there.
They would not have backed out. It would have been something that they
true.
would have chewed up and spit. And what would have happened is that the glitterati would have piled on, and
Yeah.
what they're saying in private would be one thing, which would be even worse than what they're actually saying in public.
Do we need a DFW post?
Dude, here's what
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
do.
Where we
No,
go
check
after
it out.
celebrities and
Check it out. No,
shit
no.
they're doing.
Yeah, we'll be the DFW, the
page
FTW,
three.
the FTW TMZ.
And we'll go hunt them down.
Yeah. And you'll be standing up there. You'll be like, Matt, what'd you get this week? What'd you see?
dun.
I'm like, well, apparently the other day, man, this bass dude is like a brother or something was riding a skateboard and he farted and sharted himself and everybody saw it's funny.
Well,
You just be
what's
like-
so good about that?
But that's a cool story, man. If you think about it, he
I
shit
guess,
himself.
I
He
guess.
shit himself.
You notice they're all hanging over the walls
Yeah.
with their glasses of water and I don't know. I mean,
Give me
I
another
guess
Red
whatever.
Bull.
Who hasn't shit their pants in the past? Let's move on.
Dun, 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 dun. And then they'll go to the next story. It'll be
That's
one
the
of
way
our
it'll be.
it'll be one of our reporters at the Yellow Rose with a camera.
Well, that's way down there. We got to
Yeah.
have it around
We
here.
gotta have Jeremy putting a camera in people's faces down
Yeah.
there.
I don't really like Sasha Bass. I don't think she gets very some drunk asshole.
Did you hear
Dun,
me
dun, dun,
though?
dun, dun,
Shit
dun, dun.
down his leg. He butt tooted at a club and shit started going down his leg.
I see a Facebook or a video bit coming up very
should do.
soon. Very soon. We need to find a cubicle where we
Dun,
can all
dun,
just
dun, dun,
hang
dun.
over the edge.
You want to drink some of this hand sanitizer?
Yeah,
I
let's
was
do
probably
it.
gonna wake
Okay.
me up, man. I'll have it with my cappuccino.
Got any more cocaine?
Dude, I mean,
Dun 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 dun. dun. That's just the way it works. All right. Well, it's Thanksgiving week.
yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And
Thanks for coming on, man.
hope
You're a
you guys
very
all think-
interesting character.
Yeah.
I would like to.
we'll get you on
have
here some
again,
more.
man.
and,
Yeah,
we'll get that round table going at some point. Probably
yeah. Get you in here for some
after the
counseling.
beginning of the year when things chill out a little bit.
We'll get you in here with
I
some
don't know,
ketamine
holiday
and stuff
stuff.
and get to some
What?
stories.
Ketamine. What? Dun 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 dun.
Could you do that again?
All
All right. Good night. Dun, 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 dun.
All right, yeah. Yeah. Greg, if people want to find you, where do they go and find you at?
They can't.
Well, you got social media. You got
Yeah,
Instagram.
I've got some Instagram pages, so you can look up Greg Gutpazal Glam Gigs, but there's some periods in there someplace between each word, and GMG dot fashion dot and dot faces dot.
It's always good to use dots.
Lots of dots.
Lots of dots.
No dashes, just dots.
All
I
dots.
wonder who
No-
has
no dashes are not
www
allowed.
dot at gmail.com. And on that note, if you'd like to give us a donation, we'd love to have it to help us do it out a lot more. Or if you just want to send us an email, show some love to the Jerry Jonestown Massacre Podcast Show.
At Jerry Jonestown Massacre at gmail.com. And you can call us 682-593-JJTM.
Boom!
And be watching our socials because it's time
It's time.
for the JJTM coffee. It's coming. It's coming. And it's coming for you.
It's coming fast.
And hard. And strong.
And stinky.
And without a sleight of
See,
hand
we just made the
condom.
first promo for it.
That's what we'll be drinking in the video. This is it. All right, let's get out of here. Good night, Larry. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Bye.
later. You too, Larry.
See you later, Larry.
Bye,
Good night,
Larry.
everybody.
You gotta rewind it to that part where you just busted that out. I didn't really. I wasn't
Good
really
night,
following
chat
the
room.
conversation
Bye.
as much as I thought I was, and then all of a sudden you just go. I'm like, what? I couldn't make the two go together. I just started laughing.